There we are. Hello, ghouls and goblins. Welcome back to another edition of the Reely Scared podcast. As always, my name is Taylor, and I am joined by the lovely Jessica here tonight. Say hello to the people, Jessica.
Hi, ghouls.
And of course, I have a couple guides on this journey. For one, I'm joined by the great and powerful, almighty Nick Ballbach. Say hello, Nick Ballbach.
I didn't think I was getting the first cue. No, I got my zombie ready. I'm ready to go today.
Thank you for joining us. I did,
Happy
of course. Producer Matt's lurking in the background. I don't know if he's going to make his presence known just yet, but I did have to. There he is. There he is, pulling back the curtain. But I did have to save the best for last, our very special, our very powerful birthday boy. Connor Breedlove is here, baby.
How's it going, guys?
And of course, it wouldn't be his birthday without this beautiful little tune to play. Oops, wrong thing.
Play the music.
Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday. Happy birthday to ya. Happy birthday.
We're coming on right now.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Connor.
Happy birthday!
Thank you so much, guys.
Birthday
Pour my
boy.
coffee while doing that.
Happy birthday. I'm so grateful to get to spend it with you in this way. I know it's in a different timeline.
We'd be sitting in a theater for Fast and Furious.
Yeah.
We were ready for family time.
Yeah, as a family watching the family. I'm so sad that we didn't get to do that this year, but I guess we'll do it next year. So at least we got something to look forward to. And I'm still very happy we're able to experience it together in this way. So thank you for spending your very precious birthday to talk about horror movies with us.
And then game night afterwards.
Yeah, we are going to do a little game night thing afterwards. We'll stream that live as well if anybody wants to
I didn't know.
watch or potentially join. I don't know, might be past your bedtime. We'll see. You can see we got a very festive birthday party background creeping there. I don't know if I should go back to the blood dungeon or if we should just have it be a party all night.
Let the birthday boy decide.
What do you think? Birthday balloons or blood dungeon?
Oh, birthday balloons.
Perfect. I wish I had a blood dungeon with birthday balloons in it. And then
I
that
would have photoshopped it up
Photoshopped
right
for
then
it.
and there.
That would be the best of both worlds. We'll
No,
do it next year.
Not birthday balloons, balloons.
Oh.
Yeah, dairy balloons.
It's a bunch of I Love Dairy balloons, yeah.
Yeah. But nonetheless, thank you for joining us on your special day. Thank you, Nick and Matt, for joining us. Jessica as well, thank you for joining us.
Anytime, baby.
And thank you, anybody at home who decided to watch this. This is the third episode of Reely Scared, the horror movie feature podcast. We've got a great show lined up, I believe, tonight. We've got tons to talk about, tons of news. We've got 2 movies that we're covering in our review portion. Daniel Isn't Real and the very brand new, as of today, released film Blood Machines. So we've got plenty to talk about. Nick is joining us. I'm excited because he doesn't really do horror movies. Matt, I believe, also famously doesn't really do horror movies. And Jessica famously
warmed up for them. So I'm going to be honest. You guys have warmed me up for them, so I can't even say I don't do them anymore because I'll go check them out.
There we go.
I don't know. We watch one like every other day now, so
Yeah, because we got to get you ready for it.
It's a consequence of being in a relationship with me for sure.
I'll take it.
But no, we got a great show lined up, tons to talk about. As the tradition we sort of set as of last week, we begin every show by asking each other what we've watched this week. That's not restricted to horror movies. It can be about anything at all, anything you want to speak on. So I will spin it over to the boy of the night first, Mr. Connor. What have you watched this week?
All right. I've actually watched quite a bit. I binge watched with my girlfriend Dead to Me, Netflix show with Christina Applegate and can't think of her name. Played Velma in the Scooby-Doo movies.
Linda Cardellini.
Yep.
Okay.
It's actually a really good show. 2 seasons. Second season just came out. About two women who into some stuff and have to help each other out and getting past those things. It's really good. Can't really talk about it too much without spoiling pretty much everything. Check it out. 10 episodes a season. Quick watch, 30-minute episodes. I've also started Outer Banks or Outer Bank.
Okay.
which is another Netflix show. It's the right amount of corny. I talked about it last night on Twitter. It's like a Paxton commercial.
Oh God.
Ruka, Vans, they're all prominent brands in the show.
Bullhead jeans.
What's that?
Bullhead jeans.
Yeah. Yeah. Let's see. They drive around a VW vintage bus with a giant ink sticker on the bumper.
Very
But
tortured.
besides and the main character's name is John B, and everybody only refers to him as John B. Never John, never Johnny. It's always John B. Don't know why.
Interesting.
But besides all those things, it's actually really fun. It's about these kids in Outer Banks. They're like the poor kids, and they have to go treasure hunting. John B, his dad, is presumed dead after hunting for this sunken ship with $400 million in British gold from like the 1800s. And so he decides to go out and try to find his dad, ends up finding the treasure, and finds out he's not the only one looking for the treasure. I'm a sucker for lost treasure, hidden treasure type stuff, like national treasure and all that. So it's fun. It's definitely not like the best thing, but it's fun. It's worth watch. And I've been watching the Saw series.
Which one?
Saw?
Saw.
Oh, Saw series. Gotcha.
I'm on 5 now.
Oh Jesus, that was quick.
Yeah.
That is an exhausting journey.
Oh, it is exhausting. But I like them. They're a guilty pleasure.
Saw is like an entire experience just blends together in my head. Like I can't differentiate any besides like the first one.
Yeah.
After that, it's all just madness and lost limbs. And there's a great interview with one of the directors who's done a couple Saws, and they'll just read out a scene from one of the movies, and they'll be like, "Which one was that from?" And he has no recollection or idea which one they're from.
Well, they're all like continuous. That's why I like that. I don't think I ever realized that when they were coming out like every other year, but they pick up like the moment the other one ended. So it's hard to differentiate when the last one, like, what happened in each one. 'Cause it's all one story.
And then some of them like take place concurrently, so it's like, oh, you didn't realize this is happening at the same time as Saw 2. Yeah. Got to get juiced up for Spiral next year, though.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
How about you, Nick? What are you watching this week?
So I have been revisiting a few older projects, trying to get back into the swing of things creatively, rewatching some scenes from Murmur, rewatching some old projects that I had worked on. But I recently just revisited Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl, which is one of my favorite coming-of-age movies of all time. It's got our boy Blue Ranger, RJ Kyler, in there. And the reason why is because my brother just recently watched it, was kind of going through my now exceedingly large DVD shelf that I now have, and picked that one out. And I was kind of like, oh, okay. I mean, it has been a while, but it was definitely one of the inspirations when it came to one of the styles of film that I actually want to make. And just a very interesting story. Throw another fellow filmmaker, although I think that they were just kind of recreating a lot of films. But yeah, no, just a fun one. I want to rewatch Edge of 17 for the same reason, just kind of regain some inspiration for the genre.
That's a good one.
Mm.
I like that one a lot.
Wish it was still on Netflix.
Big influences for Broken Heart Society.
Yep. Yeah.
What have you been watching, Matt?
I haven't got to watch much this week outside of what we have been watching, but some things I have watched are I've been watching this season of Riverdale. How I have started to hate that show so much.
Are you hating it?
I'm starting to hate that show. Like it's tiring. The first season was great, and then it just it all went downhill.
Mm.
But something I did watch that I was surprised I liked as much as I did, that I haven't watched in years, was the 2006 remake of Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, where Bernie Mac and Ashton Kutcher,
yeah,
and Joey Saldana before her star really blew up. So, like that was a breath of fresh air. I started watching Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and yeah, that's been it basically. So.
And you started watching a re-edit of Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
I actually started watching the original Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, I didn't get to finish it because I had stuff around the house to do. So
as we were sitting here waiting for the show to start, Matt was screening for us a re-edit of the original Gene Wilder Wonka, where he's
into a rated R cut, and it's
violently massacring all the children. It's really well done. It's really well done. You wouldn't even know that that's not what the movie looked like, you know?
Yeah, but tomorrow night or tonight, I will be rewatching Justice League in prep for this episode on Sunday. So, yeah.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
Gotta get ready.
Yeah.
It's imprinted in my brain how much I did not enjoy that movie, so I don't think I ever need to watch it again.
I've seen it one time, and that'll be enough till the big Granddaddy comes out next year. Granddaddy Snyder Cut.
I've seen it 3 times. I got the preview screening. I brought Nick to. Yeah, I had to take my godson opening night because he's obsessed with Batman, and so I sat through it opening night, and I fell asleep.
For the press screening as well.
Yeah, you were. I forgot you were.
Mm-hmm. I made it to that one.
Forgot about you.
Yeah, but I fell asleep on it opening night, and then back when Jen was prepping to see Aquaman in theaters, we rewatched all the old DC EU movies, and I had to sit through it. So those are the 3 times I've seen that movie.
Gets better with every watch.
I wish that was the case. I feel like I need a beer more and more after every watch.
Looking forward to a 4-hour version of it.
It's a different version.
Yeah, we'll see. I guess well,
if it's a new movie, yeah,
that certainly should be true. Let's hope. Yeah, we have watched. So I talked about it on Sunday a little bit, but we watched Uncut Gems for the first time. I gave my thoughts on that. What did you think of Uncut Gems?
Whoa. I was not expecting the ending whatsoever. Apparently Taylor already knew about it, but I didn't know. I didn't see it coming. But I thought it was really, really good. I enjoyed it. It was very tense. But I thoroughly enjoyed it. It was kind of one of those movies that made you feel awful.
Oh yeah.
Definitely.
It made me. I loved how I felt at the end of that movie.
You know when you watch people make bad decisions and you're just like, you just feel like shit. That's what it made me feel like. But I enjoyed it. It was good.
Those are the movies those Safdie brothers make.
Yeah. But, it was enjoyable.
We also watched a movie that I almost kind of wish we had saved for this show because I think it was probably good enough to do. A movie called I See You.
I've heard of it.
Yeah, which is streaming. I think it was on Prime right now. It's got Helen Hunt in it, and
that one that was filmed in Cleveland.
Yeah, it was shot all around Cleveland. And
one of the producers on it.
You know one of the producers on it?
Yeah, she used to work for Owen. So
right on. Maybe I should save it for the show, but
there were a lot of twists in that movie that I don't know about you, but I did not see coming.
Yeah, it was really cool.
It was really, really cool. I loved the way that they made that movie.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
I'm not going to lie. I haven't seen it. I'm not going to act like I have.
Really? You should. I recommend it. It's a great movie.
Yeah, I'd say check it out. I mean, it's streaming right now for free. So, yeah, it's just called ICU. I thought that was pretty good. And I'd known that it screened at the Cleveland Film Festival maybe a year ago, maybe almost 2 years ago. And I missed it. So, no, I'm glad I finally got to see it because I thought it was pretty good. We also watched, as per Connor's recommendation, the unrated cut of Blumhouse's Fantasy Island.
Still need to watch it. I want to really badly.
Yeah. What did you think of Fantasy Island?
I loved it. I enjoyed it. I was scared. There were a couple of times that I definitely jumped. What is that thing that
The character I like,
with the hand?
Doctor Torture.
Dr. Torture. he creeped the crap out
Doctor
of me.
Torture rules. If you can make a movie where you have a antagonist whose name is Dr. Torture and he wears a doctor lab coat and has a saw for a hand,
Oh my
I think that's a cool movie.
Oh my gosh. But it didn't make sense to me that some of the wait, should we not talk about it?
I mean, let's talk about it. We're here. Why
Okay,
not?
the bad guys died, but the good guys didn't. The bad guys didn't die, and the good guys died. That didn't make sense to me.
Oh, the fantasy people
That were part of the fantasy.
Yeah.
Why? If they're part of the fantasy and they're part of the black goo, shouldn't they come back too?
That's how I felt. It wasn't a movie that really took itself too seriously, and it probably didn't want you to think too much about it. It was hoping you wouldn't think too much about it.
Oh,
But
I felt so sad when his brother or dad died.
I thought it was really silly, but I had a great time watching it.
It's really silly, but it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was really fun. The acting was silly.
I wanted to hate it, but I was like, fun.
Lucy Hale's character was awful.
Oh,
Like twist after twist in that
From the start, she was awful, and then she was even worse. But Dr.
Girl.
Torture rules.
Oh my gosh.
and then the reveal at the end where he stays on the island and he's like, what's the name? And then
Sacrifice.
the tattoo, and he's like,
It's good. I can't wait for the second one, right? I'm sure. I mean, it probably made it. I didn't see it. Probably made a ton of money versus.
oh, I didn't make any money.
No.
Oh, no?
I don't think so.
It did.
Oh, that's a
That
shame.
movie cost Blumhouse money.
Yeah,
That's hard to pull off.
Really? No, it is.
Is
I
it-
want to be the one to save Lucy Hale's Blumhouse career. I'll make a movie that's actually good.
more than opening
Make
weekend,
a movie.
so it still made a profit.
Yeah.
That movie cost nothing to make.
By no means I would say a traditionally great movie, but I had a great time watching it.
It was entertaining.
Yeah.
What else did we watch? There was another one.
Did you watch anything else that you wanted to mention? I've been watching Outlander a lot.
I started watching the show Outlander. I enjoy it. I stopped watching it because it makes me sad. And then watched Mulan and Mulan 2 with my kids. And
Good mother right there.
I hate that movie Mulan 2. It's awful.
Damn.
Guilty pleasure that you were talking about. I watched John Tucker Must Die last night.
Oh, I love
Oh
that.
boy.
Yeah, I watched that last night. It was total nostalgia, just crept in. But I think that's it. I feel like there was another movie we watched.
I do want to plug something for Sunday's show. I am actually watching and I want, if Nick has the time, I'd like him to watch this too, so I'm not the only one reviewing it. But the DC Universe show, Stargirl started up. So the pilot episode of that is
Oh, okay. Well, if it's an episode, yeah. I keep forgetting that they break away from the like Netflix style from that, which
and
is
that's
good.
why I love Disney Plus, and it's why I love DC Universe, because they don't do the Netflix style. Because in my opinion, I like the water cooler talk. I like being able to talk and think about like what's going to happen. Like, spoilers for Harley Quinn for the people who don't watch it, but we're in season 2 right now, and Harley and Poison Ivy kissed, and Poison Ivy's engaged. So it's just like, wait, what? So
Scoob.
Oh yeah, we watched Scoop,
oh.
which we did. We talked about Scoop at length on the show on Sunday, but I believe I falsely reported that Jessica liked Scoop fine. She did not like Scoop.
No, I did not like Scoob. My children are not allowed to watch it. Inappropriate.
Well, they watched it with us the first time.
Oh yeah, you and I are on the same page of it was entirely inappropriate for what like
For children, for it being a child movie, it is not appropriate movie for a child movie.
It's a big stinker.
I have a huge problem with the way they make child movies and how they are completely desensitized. It is just absolutely awful. It's one thing to present a movie and to say that there's bad language, it's rated PG-13, but to come out and say it's a Scooby-Doo movie and what Scooby-Doo represents over the past decades, and then to just slap a G on it and then put all this crap in it, dropping F-bombs and stuff, it's not okay. It's just not okay. I'm not okay with it. So
Scooby-Doo be scoobing, though.
no, not okay. But Last House on the Left. Taylor watched it.
Yeah, we watched it.
The unrated version?
The remake of it. I'd never seen it before. And
A rough one to watch.
so, yeah. Not a good time to be Aaron Paul or anybody else.
What's his name from Walking Dead?
Yeah. Movies like that, I don't know. I don't really, like that, or like I Spit on Your Grave, or movies like that has just never been really I thought it was a good, well-made movie, but it's not something I would choose to put on in my own time and kick back and eat a snack. You know what I mean?
You might not like Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon.
Which one?
Death Sentence with Kevin Bacon.
Oh yeah. I saw you recommending that on Twitter.
That one's it's pretty I would say like grungy almost. Like it's definitely a hard watch because like this guy goes through so much, and it's your typical James Bond movie, I guess. I like it, and not a lot of people have seen it, so check that.
I gotcha.
Fantasy Island made $40 million, by the way, just an FYI.
How much did they spend on that thing?
Yeah.
7. So it made 47 million, and they made it for 7. So it made profit.
Okay.
Well, when you factor in marketing and everything.
No. It wasn't enough of a profit, but it still made a profit.
No, for Blumhouse, that's just still a huge profit because, let's be honest, that marketing they didn't do a lot of marketing. That was probably only like $3 million. So you're looking at $10 million total.
It's almost like 6 times the budget.
Right. So
yeah, that's a huge profit.
So we're getting another one. Fan 2.
I hope not. Even people who
Island.
saw that movie hated it, so it doesn't make any sense. I'm gonna go back to being behind the curtain for a
Tattoo will be back.
Go back over there and eat your pizza. All right. So before we get into our topic for the day, because we are going to have a conversation about the slasher subgenre, and I'm looking forward to that. We do have a little bit of announcement for a new segment on the show, kind of an experiment. We'll see how it goes and whether it's something we want to keep going, but I do want to try it out, and we hinted at it last week, is that we are going to do a Really Scared book club. I've talked about how I want to kind of cultivate a club vibe on the show with the movies we watch week to week. I've always wanted to have a book club too, or be in one. So I want to try that out too, and highlight some solid horror literature. So we will do a book a month is going to be the idea for now. Starting next month, starting with June, we will be reading, as we mentioned last week, Stephen King's new short story collection titled If It Bleeds. It has 4 novellas in it. I think we will start at the top of June. I don't know, because it's short stories, I don't know if it'll make more sense to do a short story a week or if we just talk about it all at the end. Maybe just all at the end because it'll give people more time to read it that way. But yeah, I've got my copy right here. So you can see it's legit. I'm doing it. I know Connor.
I'll be ordering mine.
Yeah, it's Stephen King, so naturally going to be available wherever books are sold. If you got a brick and mortar bookstore near you, always good to support those. Even if you don't want to go to it, I don't blame you right now, but I'm sure you could order it through their website too. Throw them a couple coins that way. But yeah, so next week we're going to be reading If It Bleeds to Stephen King. If you like books, if you like scary stuff, if you like The King, check it out and come back here and we'll talk about it either at the end of the month or week to week. We'll see whatever schedule makes the most sense. But we'll be doing that. So looking forward to trying that out. Look who's here. What's good, buddy?
Hell yeah!
Thanks for watching again. We got a Lo Mishra on the book club. Great Stephen King with us. All right. We already got our first member. Glad to see it. Thanks for watching tonight, man. Right on. So we'll hop into our discussion for the day, which is the slasher subgenre. Where did it go? Is it coming back? Why did it leave? This was Connor's idea for the conversation this week, so I'd love for him to take point and meditate on a little bit. What do you think, Connor? What do you got to say about slashers?
I don't know. It seems like in the 80s, like the slasher subgenre was like it. That was the thing. And it even carried out into the 90s and early 2000s. Like, it was the slasher. So you had, you had Friday the 13th. You had Nightmare on Elm Street to an extent. It was still featured. You had Halloween, Prom Night. You had all these movies. And it based around the slasher. And I feel like now we don't really see any slashers.
Yeah, it's definitely gone out of style.
Like maybe Scream 4, you had Scream 4, you had Hellfest and the new Halloween. I can't really think of
the Rob Zombie Halloweens.
Yeah, well, anything not based on an existing property. Like, I guess Hellfest was the only slasher, and that one just was not good. And I was just thinking, why aren't there any more slashers? Why aren't there any more iconic big bads in slasher movies? It's just something I think would be an interesting topic to expand on. Maybe discuss, where did it go and why was it kind of phased out?
Yeah, it's, obviously trends come and go, and slasher movies, I feel, definitely had their peak in the 80s and then kind of creeped into the 90s and fizzled out and became less profitable. Probably a consequence of how redundant and silly they become, constantly having to raise the bar or inject silly new ideas. The classic I always think of is, well, there's two classics I can think of, being Jason Takes Manhattan, where it's like, well, I don't know, put him in the city, which I think is always a funny hook. It's like, Jason, put him in the city, or like, Babe, he's going to the city. The Muppets took Manhattan one time as well. It's just right. That's right. It's a funny hook to me. It's like, I don't know, he's going to a city or something.
Well, I think it goes back to how things are just desensitized now. Is slasher films I don't think they scare people as much as they used to. It's more into the psychological thrillers that really get into people and really scare them, because it tends to just creep inside their, psychologicals and just their fears. And, anybody could do a slasher. And since we're all desensitized due to the media and all the slasher films that have come out, it's just has been repetitive. And I think that's probably why. I think that it'll just take time. I think that they're just going to have to come up with a different and new way for it to become non-repetitive. So
actually, I think Jessica hit it right on the head, because that's kind of, you saw this nice long lull from the Scream movies to basically the Rob Zombie Halloween movies. There weren't really any slashers in between there, and those Rob Zombie Halloween movies kind of ended up being that resurgence of the remake of the slasher, because then you got the Nightmare on Elm Street remake, and then they've been trying to get that Friday the 13th remake off the ground for so long. Like they said, they just got boring. And like when I go, and like I said, I'm not the biggest horror guy, but when I go back and I look at horror movies, the only slashes I really watch are the classic ones. So
I think that people are also a little bit afraid to do it with a little bit of insight of what's actually like selling right now is action, and everything does really well. And I would imagine, and slashers are like not selling right now. So I could imagine that a filmmaker could even really come up with a really good idea for one even, and be almost afraid that it's probably not going to sell.
Yeah.
Just because of the market right now. You don't see obviously a lot of Blumhouse slashers, and that's kind of who's really, other than Halloween obviously, but that's who's really come out of this as the top of the horror game. And I'm kind of surprised by that they don't make more of them, considering their usage of a lower budget on everything. I couldn't imagine that movies like that would be really that expensive to make for them, just conceptualizing them myself. And I mean, I've even thought of like an entire series of a slasher type film. You know, that if the market doesn't change, who knows if it could ever even possibly come into fruition with a bigger company.
I think it's the right time to kind of revitalize it. I mean, that's what Scream did.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Is it revitalized it. It took the tropes and the cliches and stuff and kind of used that to its advantage and made like a revitalized slasher film and did enormously well. I mean, we're getting the fifth one on the TV series. It did really well. I think now is a good time to do what Scream did and figure out a way to revitalize that genre again. I think I did like the Gallows Fly, and it did something different, but also kind of sticking to what people know. I think it just takes the right screenwriter and the right director to really kind of bring it to life. But I think now is the perfect time for someone to just take that genre and do something fun with it, like Scream did.
It does feel like it's time for it to come back around, as trends often do. Yeah, and Scream was, obviously it was Wes Craven, so you got one of the godfathers of the whole thing in there pulling it. But it was so influenced by the tropes and wielded them as its own thing and played with them. So it had fun with the genre, which I think helped because people had seen so many slashers already from your Freddys and Jasons, etc. That it was like, oh yeah, we're all on the same page and we're having fun with it too. I feel like it's time for it to come back around because, as the slasher trend faded, I feel like, like zombie movies really had their thing for a while and then that became oversaturated. And now I'm totally bored of zombies. Paranormal movies became the big thing with Paranormal Activity, Insidious and Conjuring. And some of them are great and some of them aren't, just like the slashers. But I feel like the last decade has really been defined by ghost, paranormal, Japanese horror, things like Ring and Grudge.
Oh my God, Paige, that's mine right there. Serial killer documentaries, love them.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody's obsessed with these serial killer Netflix documentaries and these true crime stuff. It's a perfect time to take maybe the true crime aspect and turn it into a slasher type film. I mean, there's definitely something to do with that.
Yeah, because regardless, people are always going to want to connect. They're always going to want to try and connect with other people regardless. So we're always trying to understand why people do what they do, especially serial killers. I know it's a weird thing, but me and my friends especially, we love that shit. We absolutely obsess over it because we are constantly trying to understand that aspect of serial killers as to why they did it. And we're just so intrigued by it. As for the whole slashers thing, I think it may be time for it to come back. I don't think that necessarily means that somebody has to do it right now. I think it probably needs to be done the right way. Just because it should come back doesn't mean it absolutely has to come back right now. I think you should do something the right way before letting it out there rather than doing it the right way just because you think it should go out there. So I don't know what's the right way to do it, but evolutionize it in some way instead of just pushing it out there before it's ready to get out there is what I would think.
I was wondering what Midnight Meat Zoom Room Dog Training was.
I was like, wait, what is that title?
But I have seen Midnight Meat Train. Creep I liked a lot. I even liked the second one a lot too. Those movies are pretty good.
Yeah, Creep was good.
Yeah, another as far as modern, new original slashers, one I like a lot. Even it's PG-13, but Happy Death Day I actually liked a lot.
Yes.
Yeah.
And the reason I didn't like the second one so much is because it got away from the slasher element.
It was more sci-fi time travel type thing.
Yeah, and it got a lot funnier, which first one's pretty funny too. But I was excited to see it back. I was like, okay, we've all seen the Groundhog Day trope movie. That feels tired. But to combine it in a horror context and with a slasher and she doesn't wake up and have the same day every day. She gets murdered every day and is trying to figure out who the hell is murdering her every day. So I thought that one was really cool.
Which is a popular film now. They're remaking a lot of films like that now.
And I think to that point, though, I mean, for it to come back, I think it needs to be combined with something like that.
Yeah,
where we're thinking what we're remembering is, you know, the Groundhog Day element combined with a slasher element. And for it to really come back, I mean, even Scream in that sense is really, again, to bring up Scream, where it kind of was revitalized in a different kind of way.
Yeah. It took like that Gen X, like, monument, like it was the height of the Gen X, and like all I don't know, it took that and put it in with the slasher. Like a lot of these, like when the slasher comes back around, it takes something else and mixes it in, and that's what makes it special.
I'm wondering, so we touched on the true crime element. I'm wondering, do you think it's harder to make a compelling, scary slasher now because there is such a spotlight on true crime and actual murderers that maybe people don't want to watch these kind of movies anymore because, you know, it's being broadcast by our own news all the time. It's actually out there, and maybe it is almost comforting to watch A Conjuring and not have to worry about, you know, a spooky ghost crawling out from under your bed or something. Maybe that's more palatable now instead of scary guy with a knife. You know, not that there was ever a time where that wasn't frightening and a credible threat, but I wonder if maybe because of the coverage on true crime and the obsession with it and fascination with it, maybe slashers are harder to sell now because you can watch on Netflix boot up actual, you know, the Ted Bundy tapes or whichever it is.
Well, in the documentaries, they don't actually, I know in some of them they recreate real life with actors, but they don't recreate the actual like scenes of the killings and such. They more so tell the stories and talk about forensics and such like that. So they don't do like the slasher type.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm just wondering if like the idea and the fear of it turns people off from seeing even even if it was a fictional script and story, just even putting it anywhere near a ground. Not that Freddy or Jason or Michael Myers were ever grounded in really any context. But
no, I think it from my perspective, in my opinion, it intensifies my fears more just because it's more realistic because you're hearing these stories. So, you know that they've actually happened and you don't think that because a lot of the true crime stories you hear, you think, holy shit, that actually happened. That can actually happen in real life. Fuck. But it's just a lot of the slasher movies that are happening or they're doing are dumb. They're boring or such. I think the last one that I actually enjoyed was Prom Night. I think that was the last one that I've watched, but I'm not a horror film person. So
yeah, I also can think of not only the original Strangers, which I dug, but even the sequel, which I liked. I know it wasn't as popular.
I like the second one more than the first one. The reason I like the second one more is it was more of like an 80s like throwback slasher.
Right.
It had like this like soundtrack, and it was the strangers were more prominent in the sequel. They weren't like hiding in the shadows like they were in the first one, which made the first one really effective. But the second one, I just love that like throwback style.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought the first Strangers was basically like Halloween homage. The second Strangers was Friday the 13th homage. You know, it's like you put them down, they keep getting up, the killer's on fire and all. I remember being in the theater and being like, oh, this is sweet. I haven't seen something like this in forever, though. You know, it's weird. It'd been done so many times, but it'd been so long that it felt fresh again to me. I was like, cool. I'm glad to see somebody went for this. You know?
Yeah.
And I think that a lot of horror or slasher type movies are being made on an independent scale as well. Only because, I mean, especially if you're a horror filmmaker, you're either going to be ignoring the genre because you feel like it's been done too much, or you're going to be making one because it's affordable. So it could be that a lot of people, and I can't really speak for everybody when it comes to the filmmaking sense, but I know that I've been thinking about slashers and stuff like that I can make because I know that it probably wouldn't break the bank when it comes to making something like that. And that's kind of just getting to my point where like I think people are kind of looking for that way to change the genre enough to make it so it's more predominant.
Now let me ask this: do you think we'll ever get like the next big like slasher icon? Will we get another Freddy?
Absolutely.
I hope so.
Absolutely. If there's anything that film has proven is that anything is possible. That it evolutionizes you never know what's going to happen. You really, really don't. With technology nowadays, anything is possible. And I think, some director, some screenwriter, somebody's going to have a really great idea one day, and they're going to put it out there, and it's going to come out, and we're going to think, holy shit, why didn't we think of this sooner?
You know what? As you were saying it, and I just had thought, I never really thought of it as such. Would you say Us was a slasher movie?
No.
You don't think so?
It had its elements of it.
Yeah. But
Because as you were saying that, I'm thinking, I think Jordan Peele might come up with the next slasher icon.
I think
That's
he
who
could.
I think it is, yeah.
And who would you like to see, or would hope to see, come up with like the next slasher icon?
Jordan Peele.
I think as Taylor said that, Jordan Peele.
I feel like he would have such an interesting idea and be able to just distill it down into the slasher genre. Figure out, okay, what about the chemistry and the mechanics of a slasher, and what about current culture and society? How can I merge those things into an interesting one? Assuming he keeps making horror movies, he might be sick of it before long,
I think we got whoa, wait.
Uh-oh.
It depends on perspective.
Is he coming up with someone?
I don't know.
Loke's recommending again.
Same. I can't wait to see that one.
Yeah, I can't wait to see that. Definitely one we're going to cover on this show because that looks creepy.
The director that I want to see come up with the next big slasher icon.
I got a question for you guys, real quick. Could you imagine a Safdie Brothers horror film?
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I bet you it'd be really gross and really stressful. And yeah, they would kill it. They would definitely kill it.
Mm. I'm an optimist. I think anything is possible, though.
I would love to see like one of these like obscure horror filmmakers come up with a slasher movie like Ari Aster.
He was agreeing with us on Jordan Peele.
We mention him every week. Mike Flanagan, I believe, he has that movie Hush. Have you guys seen that one about the deaf woman?
No, I have not
heard of it.
Didn't make a horror icon, per se, but I thought was a really cool, clever slasher where the protagonist is a deaf woman. So this guy breaks into her home and she doesn't even know, and he's like running around making all this noise, and she all night doesn't know he's in there. Super creepy. Again, has that strangers element of guy in the background and the characters don't know he's there.
Hmm.
Yeah, is it an out and out slasher? Maybe not purely, but it's definitely got three people trying to stab you, chasing you.
No one's denying the elements. It's just that when you think of a slasher, you think of just one or two characters, not just clones of yourself.
Thanks for joining us.
Bye.
Thank you, hello. But you know what I mean? Like, that's when I think of a slasher, I just think of that one icon. I think Mike Myers. I think Jason. I think Freddy.
Ooh, I agree, Paige. Luca Guadagnino, his Suspiria was fantastic. And again, taking, technically a remake of a movie, but besides its initial premise having almost nothing in common with it, practically his own movie.
Yeah.
I would be into seeing him do a slasher. I do hope we get an original, cultural slasher, because like after Halloween made money in 2018, we knew immediately all those guys were coming back, and everybody is pieces around to come up with the new Jason movie. They've been trying for years. Legally it's tough to make it.
I was going to say it's a rights thing, right?
Yeah, I think they finally conveniently figured it out when there's tens of millions of dollars on the table. The Hellraiser series coming back. We keep getting Scream news, so all those guys are coming back. But I do hope that from some studio, some filmmaker, some way, I would hope that we do get a new central character that can become a pop cultural sensation, because I would love to see somebody put that together.
I was gonna say it would be a one-off character, but could you imagine a Tarantino slasher movie?
Oh,
That would be a very bloody film.
He got pretty close at the end of the last one, right? So,
yeah, right.
Just Brad Pitt beats the shit out of your would-be slashers, which also rules. So,
if anyone's
right.
to do blood, it's Quentin Tarantino.
Yeah, I agree. Anything anybody would like to add or ask or anything before we move into our news?
It's a pretty interesting topic.
I want to write one. I'm serious. I've had ideas for them. So I hope that the genre doesn't go away, because that's kind of my level of thinking, is where you could create this really complex character. And maybe that's what it needs to be, is that these backstories need to be really just, elevated horror. That's what the discussion point was last week, was elevated horror. And maybe there just needs to be an elevated slasher movie.
But does a genre ever go away?
No.
Yeah,
Okay.
they definitely fade in popularity, but everything comes back around.
Yeah.
They're always getting made.
I think we're about to see slashers come back. At the very least, we're going to see the big ones coming back. Especially we already know we got 2 more Halloween movies on the way, and we know that's coming. I think they're definitely coming back, but that would be I think that's the key question. Will we see something other than the classics come back? And
would you say Candyman's a slasher?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and then
Candyman.
Jordan Peele's working on that. So there you go.
Could be in his mind then.
Quick, I will be eating my birthday steak.
Aw.
I do apologize if you see me munching away.
I mean, I've been trying to hide the fact that I'm eating my dinner, so trust me, I get it.
I had my salad before the show. So.
Hey, we got George to talk about horror. That's cool. And
that is true.
That's what I want to do. Bring people together, talk about something, whether you're passionate or not. Just because I think it's a compelling discussion.
Yeah, that was the guy who wouldn't sit out and watch Get Out with me until it got nominated for an Oscar, and he's like, I guess I should check it out for work. Okay, this is good. I'm gonna watch Us.
Yeah, George, I don't like horror either. I really, really don't.
It's not my genre to watch, but I have a lot of ideas for it, and I think that's kind of where I end up fitting in here.
My genre to watch, I think I can sit down and watch pretty much any horror movie and be okay.
Yeah,
I want to watch. I mean, not a lot has scared me as of late, or nightmarish, other than that Master of Disguise that we were talking about last week.
God.
Oh, you do?
That's my slasher. Turtle Man.
Turtle Man has seen things that most slashers wouldn't believe. All right, should we hop into our news?
Yes.
I got so much news. It was another week where I had to eliminate stuff on the list. Up till today, I've been adding stuff to the list.
Yeah, I think it was at least twice a day. You and I were adding something.
Yeah, it's cool. But will George come back for Spiral? That's the question.
No.
Will they come back to see what Chris Rock has to say about
Chris Rock and Samuel L. Jackson?
Yeah.
He's in everything, though.
He is. All right, let's hop into our news. I got a story fresh off the line from yesterday, and it's a rough one. There's nothing good about this story. Michael Bay, a name we don't say a lot on this show, but Michael Bay is producing a pandemic thriller titled Bird, a found-footage pandemic thriller. Production is somehow going to begin in 5 weeks in LA, and he's not directing it. It's directed by a guy named Adam Mason, who has done some of the Into the Dark stuff for Hulu, but he is producing it. And
that's still too much.
and he greenlit what I think is a terrible idea, because from what they've put out as far as the plot, the way they worded it was the pandemic is still ongoing 2 years later. So presumably we're not even talking about a fictional virus or something. We're talking about
coronavirus. Oh, okay, that's great. That's great.
And until they say that's not true, that seems to be what they're saying. Takes place 2 years from now. It's going to be a found footage movie. They've compared. I'm guessing again. They're comparing it to Paranormal Activity and Cloverfield. What do those movies have in common other than their found footage? Apparently, this will enable them to, have strict social distancing guidelines during the production. They're saying that never more than one person will be on set at a time while making this movie. So I don't know if this means like lighting guy comes in, sets up lights, leaves. Your actor comes in, he has the camera, and he's shooting the movie. I don't know. This seems like to me just ill-advised from top to bottom. And who else would try it right now? First of all, look, we all know it's inevitable that they're going to make a ton of coronavirus movies.
Oh, for sure.
It's going to leave too much of a mark on us socially and culturally right now that people. And it's going to be a long time before I'm interested in watching a movie about coronavirus,
Yep.
Especially from Michael Bay.
Yeah, and
I don't think much of anything with this name attached to it except Bad Boys 3. Bad Boys 3 is nice.
Yeah, there's the Michael Bay of it where, again, okay, if somebody was going to try to make the first coronavirus movie, you can't expect this guy to come in with the perspective and the sensitivity to do it justice and come up with something profound. And then there's the element, if they're going to start shooting it while the pandemic is in fact still ongoing. It's not over.
No.
What do you
Question.
question for this?
Question. Over under bets that it starts off taking place at the Florida beaches just because Michael Bay loves showing off some skin.
Well, if the pandemic's ongoing, there's not going to be any skin on the beach.
But my point is, like, it starts off there right before the pandemic really blows up.
Apparently, it's going to take place 2 years from now. So it's
and then it jumps 2 years ahead of time.
I don't think so. 5 weeks is going to be still restrictions. It's going to pick up right after 2 years.
Apparently, there's going to be some government conspiracy element to it, and the military. It'll be martial law. And what are the odds that we had a second wave nationally because of Michael Bay's production on this film?
Oh, screw this shit.
The pandemic's going to actually be ongoing in 2 years because of this movie. Because of
one person on set, though. I mean, was this movie written in 2 months?
Right. Did they pick up the old pandemic script and rework it? I don't know, but
there's no story. It's just explosions.
How are you going to do explosions on found footage? I feel like he's not going to have how are you going to do explosions with one man on set? It's going to be hard. I guess you just set up your dynamite and then leave.
Yeah.
I saw that last night and I just couldn't. I was just like,
you could pass up on it.
Come on. I was like, we're going to have to talk about this, but just come on.
I mean, I don't think it'll be a sequel to Contagion because it's probably going to be a different company. In spirit, could it be? Possibly, but overall, no.
And look, if Steven Soderbergh was like, I got an idea for the coronavirus movie, I'd say,
all right.
I'd say, okay, it seems a little too soon, but okay. But
at least you know how to treat things with respect.
Yeah, I'm just every detail of this story made me go, why? We don't need it. I never want to have to shit on a movie right out of the gate before it gets going, but there's just nothing about this that
it's way too soon.
Yeah, we don't need to be rushing movies into production, period, especially ones that are about the pandemic that is delaying productions in the first place. Come on, Bay, just work on Bad Boys 4 or something right now. Just write that script,
No, don't let him anywhere near that. All he did was throw money at it and help produce it. I don't need to see his name attached to Bad Boys again. Ever.
Yeah. Pretend he's going to be on the next Transformers or something. I don't need him playing with actual role
battle bots or something.
Yeah. Beetleborg, some shit. So
after his films ruined Bumblebee. Yeah, I don't want him anywhere near Transformers either.
Yeah, we'll have that to look forward to next year, I guess, because they're going to start shooting soon, and it doesn't take long to finish a movie like that. So we'll be seeing our first COVID-19 movie next year from the Bay Man.
The unfortunate thing is there's got to be a rush to get to be the first one about that. But sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, it's going to be exhausting. Moving on from Songbird.
Good idea.
To some also not great news if you enjoy the show, but USA Network has canceled the Purge television series after 2 seasons. It seems that this is the result of disappointing ratings on the second season, and I guess the network in general is also just moving towards more unscripted shows. Great, and then they're calling it event television, so I'm guessing like a mini series or something that you don't have to roll out for a couple years at a time. So I guess these multi-season shows are becoming less appealing for them.
Because you end up having them on the streaming services, and people feel like the streaming services give you a better chance of completing your vision as you want.
Right. I think it might be a tough bid for any week-to-week episodic drama right now when I don't think people want to come back and sit in front of a TV, every Tuesday to watch the show. They want to boot it up on Netflix or Hulu and just watch it at their own pace. So I know, Connor, you're a big fan of The Purge. Did you watch the show at all? Because I haven't watched any of it. Chew that steak, son. Chew that birthday steak.
I didn't watch a single episode.
You ever watched a full episode?
Nope.
So what we're saying is we're all a part of the problem that this got canceled. Matt and Nick have not watched the Purge TV show either.
Can't say I have.
Who are you talking to again?
Exactly.
Why do I need a TV show? I never heard a single thing that differentiated this from like the movies. I never heard it expands on the movies. I never heard any of that. It just never seemed appealing to me.
Right, especially when the Purge movies come out so frequently. It's like every other year you get a new one. So I think the Purge is a cool idea. It's original concept. Now it's been done already. Almost this will be 5 times by the time the next movie comes out. 2 seasons of the show, so now it's a little less original. But at the start, I thought it was a creative idea. I could see how you could use a show to expand on ideas that maybe you don't want to use in the movie. I've seen lots of people say like they only stick to murder with the Purge. You could make it about any kind of crime. I've seen tons of people say, what about like a bank robbery Purge movie? And that could be cool. So maybe you could use the show to explore that. I don't know if they did because I didn't watch it. So
I never watched it.
Yeah.
The only thing Purge related I have ever watched is the Day After the Purge skit done by Top Films.
I've not seen that though. I had sort of the idea. Apparently, I'm not the only one. I had sort of the idea that an interesting idea for a Purge story would be not to do it about the Purge, but the next day when you gotta like look at your neighbor and try to forget that he just chased you down the street.
Yeah, Misha did like, what was it, a 7-minute skit, Nick?
Yeah, it was comedic, obviously.
Yeah.
It wasn't meant to be taken seriously at all, but very funny. I mean, my big thing about it, and I agree, it's like you would think that a show like this would work, or even just I'm surprised that they never, unless the movies obviously started to decline in popularity as things went on, but it felt like they were kind of pumping those out every couple of years or so, kind of like the Saw movies. I feel like there's so many stories to be told, even if it is just a murder movie the entire time. A million, you got the entire country to worry about when it comes to these types of films. But I'm not entirely surprised that a TV show didn't work, because I was never kind of like on that when it came out.
Yeah, I think that would be a part. Maybe it is part of the Purge show, but make it about the week before the Purge, and planning out your crime or thinking about it. Maybe
who you want to kill, where you want to rob.
Yeah, and maybe that's what they did, and maybe what we're saying is the Purge TV show rules, and none of us watched it, and now it's over. So.
Yeah, or even just like pre-Purge, or how the Purge even came to be, or how it was even set in.
I think that's the next movie, isn't it, Connor?
Well,
Is it?
On that note, I got more Purge news for you.
Oh, okay.
The Forever Purge, the 5th and final film in the series, has unfortunately been delayed, like many movies that we are looking forward to. This was originally coming out July 10th, 2020, but pulled off the calendar and not coming out till next year, I would guess, because it's not been rescheduled.
You could get a Halloween release date. It is horror, so if theaters are open, that makes sense.
They'll be open, but Blumhouse already is pushing out the new Halloween, I think would be the problem.
Yeah.
Don't want to compete against each other. So
They're both Universal properties, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. So I think that's probably why we're not seeing this getting pushed just further in the year. It might be a next year situation, which is too bad. It's a shame to keep seeing stuff get pushed back, but like other stuff, probably for the best. But yeah, we're now seeing a lot of them Tenet's the big one where I feel like they're all playing chicken. It's like, oh, we're gonna get out.
Today, Warner Brothers removed Tenet's release date from all of its social media.
Oh, I did not know that. I know that
Really?
they're debuting the new trailer on Fortnite,
The new trailer debuted on Fortnite like right as we went live.
which seems like a bizarre and sort of tone deaf way to market.
Excuse me? What? Sorry, I didn't even know that was a thing.
Oh yeah, it's playing on Fortnite at the movie theater for every hour at the top of the hour for like the next day.
Great.
That's where people get free marketing is
Yep.
I mean, Travis
Scott had a concert there. They got a couple more concerts coming up. All this other stuff.
Yeah, so
Gross.
So it looks like Tenet's probably not going to hit that release date, which I think we'll see a lot of others follow suit. That's such a big movie that it needs everybody to show up. So if they think it's not safe or people won't show up, probably for the best. Yeah, that looks good.
Does that Russell Crowe movie get pushed back then?
Nah.
That's keeping that date. That's going to be the first movie you go see.
I think as long as theaters are open, I think WB's thing is Tenet is this big tent pole. And they don't want to risk losing money on it.
It's a Chris Nolan film.
Yeah, it's a Chris Nolan film.
Right.
And it's got this huge budget to go along with it. This is the first time that their new Batman is going to be on the big stage for everyone to judge all over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
and it has its like special 70mm engagements, like
yeah.
So with that in mind, I understand moving that, and I think if theaters are open, we're going to have smaller films take their place, or re-releases like they've announced that The Dark Knight and Scott Pilgrim versus the World are going to be re-releases.
True.
So,
and if we're speaking delays, if we're speaking Scott Pilgrim, we're talking Edgar Wright. Unfortunately, his latest film, Last Night in Soho, also been pulled from its initial September release date. Was really looking forward to that one. If things go okay, next year's shaping up to be an all-timer as far as movies go. It's going to be like
next year is literally just going to be this year with a couple extra Marvel movies.
It's gonna be packed. So, it's a shame. Obviously, Edgar Wright's got a great track record, probably as solid of a filmography as anybody. So to see him do what looks like a more straightforward horror movie than I would presume Shaun of the Dead. I'm excited to see what it looks like for him to play in that genre again. I've loved everything he's done so far.
Yeah.
Don't really know what it's about still. It's got some sort of time travel element and takes place partly in the 60s. It's got Thomas and Mackenzie and Anya Taylor-Joy in it. So it's got everything going for it. Going to be a great movie. Just unfortunately not going to watch it in September as initially planned. But hey, probably for the best. A movie like that deserves a good audience. So
yeah,
it's what it is. Sad that we won't get to watch it as soon as we thought, though. Hey, it's that time again to talk about Stephen King, because HBO Max is adapting the Stephen King and Joe Hill novella Throttle into a feature.
So you mean Stephen King and Joe King, right?
Exactly. For those that don't know, Joe Hill is Stephen King's son, but they co-authored this novella a couple years ago. I'm going to be right there sitting next to the Snyder Cut at some point, presumably next year. I've not read this. This continues the trend of book adaptations that I haven't read. But if the book club goes well, who knows? Maybe we'll get to Throttle eventually.
Right.
Yeah. This is about a father-son led biker gang, already insane, being terrorized by a big rig through the desert.
What?
Yeah. Sounds insane already. And Stephen King loves scary cars. Christine and Maximum Overdrive. He loves creepy cars. So this one's being written by Lee Dana Jackson, produced by David S. Goyer and Keith Levine, coming from Phantom 4, who are also putting out Antlers in the new Hellraiser series. So they've got a lot of horror content on the way. David S. Goyer, I saw Connor Frank a little bit.
I get kind of cringy when I hear David S. Goyer.
Yeah.
I feel like there's way more that I don't like from him than I do like.
Yeah, kind of a hit or miss body of work, I feel. He's definitely got some hits, but he's got some stinkers in there.
Yeah.
I can never really get a track because it's not consistent enough. I can never really get a hold on what I think about it.
His name is literally on almost everything. Anything like, I don't know, it just seems like everything. but most of the time it's like anytime there's a big like huge miss, his name's attached to it.
Yeah, and then I wonder, how much creative input does he have? Does he just have some great lawyers and gets like on the licensing and contract deals, like, or is he, or are the ones that he is more hands-on the ones that suck? I don't know. It's hard to tell because he's everywhere. Kind of like, I'll invoke him again. We got from Kurtzman last week, Alex Kurtzman. You can see that name on a lot of stuff, and some of it's pretty good, but a lot of it's not.
Watch the Star Trek shows, Taylor. I'm telling you, watch the Star Trek shows.
I'm trying to invoke George again, see if he's still sitting in the pit. Bring up Star Trek. We got that to look forward to. A lot of stuff getting delayed, but at least we still have things getting made to look forward to. We also got Hulu just revealed. I mentioned it earlier. The new Into the Dark film. For those who don't know, Hulu partners with Blumhouse every month. For like the last 2 years, they put out an original horror film that'll either tie into something that's happening that month, a holiday, a season. I've not watched a lot of them. Have you guys watched any of the Into the Dark stuff?
Watched a few. I'm Just Fucking With You, The Treehouse. There were a couple more that I watched. The ones I've watched, I liked. There's some that'll start on like, Uncanny Annie I also watched, which was good. But there's some that I watched and I get like 20 minutes in and I'm like,
yeah.
I can't do this one.
The production value and quality bar usually seems pretty low, which reasonably enough, you're putting out 12 movies a year, even if they're different production teams and directors and actors, probably still pretty tough to consistently put out a high quality work 12 times a year.
It's a really cool idea though.
Yeah.
Independent filmmakers a chance to actually do something on like a large platform.
Yeah, exactly. And you get to work with Blumhouse. Your movie comes out on Hulu. Pretty cool opportunity if you like horror. So I haven't watched a lot of them, but the one they just announced is called The Current Occupant. This is the one coming out in July, so to tie into Independence Day. This one is about an amnesiac who wakes up in a mental ward, who believes he is the president of the United States and is trying to figure out how he got there, why he's there, and fighting to survive and eventually escape. And I guess find out whether he is in fact the president. So that's kind of cool. That's kind of a great idea. That one is set to come out on July 17th. So perhaps that's something we'll cover once it's out. I mean,
Definitely.
If we dig it and they keep putting these out regularly enough, you could cover a Into the Dark film every single month. So at least if you got a slow horror month, they'll give us something to watch.
Yeah.
We also got, and this was mentioned on the first episode a little bit of the show, and I thought it was worth mentioning again because this is a pretty compelling benchmark. The Wretched, right now this week, is the #1 movie at the American box office, which, obviously circumstances currently a little different than your typical box office
Just
week.
a little bit.
But to even see a film like that, we talked about in the first one, Aloku, actually, when he was here, he was mentioning it, that it was #1. And I think I kind of underestimated what he meant. I thought he meant like #1, like in the iTunes rentals or something like that, some sort of online.
#1 in the actual cinema.
Yeah, the legit box office. It's playing at 21 drive-in movie theaters across the country.
Oh, okay.
And has managed to gross $85,000 across them. Not bad. I didn't bother to do the math on what the per screen average is on that, but I mean, #1, cool that people are going out to the drive-in. #2, cool that they are watching this movie. That they're picking something original, independent, haven't seen it before, versus whatever might be. And this might change now with more drive-ins opening up, I would imagine, across the country, and they're starting to show more mainstream movie. Obviously, we said last week, Bloodshot and Bad Boys. I don't know if people will pick The Wretched over Bad Boys, but cool that it's doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Love to see a smaller movie be that successful. It's grossed, let's see, over $332,000 total worldwide. And again, on a regular week, this would be abysmal box office numbers. It would spell the death of the cinematic experience. But during a national, a pandemic where people don't want to go outside, pretty cool. I feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great movie.
Yeah. Now Connor watched it. I haven't seen it yet. just thought that was worth mentioning. That
So Taylor, I did that math for you. You said it made 85,000 across 21 drive-in screens.
that's right.
That's roughly 4,000. We'll round up. That's $4,048 per screen.
That's not bad. Not
It's better what it would have made if it wasn't available.
right.
on-
You know, and cool that people are going out of their way to see it. You know, I think making any money there right now is not the easiest thing to do. So cool that they managed to do it, and I think it speaks to people's desire to consume new horror. So
That gets your word of mouth up, though. I mean, that's going to definitely help, when it does obviously go on to VOD and stuff like that and streaming and stuff like that, is that you're going to see people being like, oh, well, that was the movie that did so well in the box office. I mean, there might be an asterisk by it, but still, you were the number one in the theaters.
Yeah,
Right.
and I guarantee these, the filmmakers behind it, they either get a big contract with Blumhouse or James Wan. One of the two, they're going to be making the next big film for them.
right, yeah.
I really see them getting a big contract. And I think Alok actually said something that they were making a film for someone, like a big budget film for someone. I don't remember if it was Blumhouse or James Wan. I'm pretty sure it was one of those two now.
Yeah, he said he had something in the pipe that he couldn't talk about, right?
Yeah, but he said it was with someone, and
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was either Blumhouse or James Wan. So
Right
it's not a surprise.
Yeah, we said it before. It's kind of time to shine for smaller movies with people stuck at home, and then people who are even willing to go outside and go to the drive-in still trying out something new. So happy to see it. And I just caught this before the show started, so I didn't have time to queue up an image or anything. But IFC Midnight, the same people distributing that movie, are also going to release a film July 21st in drive-ins called The Rental, which is a horror film, and it's actually Dave Franco's directorial debut. Stars Allison Brie, so they're gonna try it again. Obviously, people are gonna be more comfortable going outside at that time, but they're gonna go for it again.
You said Allison Brie, so I already know one person who's tuning in, and that's the birthday boy.
Got a fan down there?
Oh, I think Connor's an Allison Brie stan, not a fan. He's a stan.
We stand.
We do.
So yeah, I thought that was cool. If it's playing at a drive-in around here, that might be the preferable way to go. I think there's something always to be said about a scary movie at the drive-in, right? So happy for them, and hope they have the same success on that next movie. To play into what we were talking about before with the slashers, this one's official. This isn't even just talking in public about it. David Arquette has officially signed on to do the 5th screen film. Dewey's coming back. We know Ned Nicole has said she would come back. She's interested in coming back. David went ahead and signed the dotted line. So, I mean, if you needed any more confirmation that we're getting a 5th screen than that, I mean, there it is. We got it.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this one.
Bring back Matthew Lillard.
He's interesting. He's
straight up said he's interested. I remember a year or so ago when he was on Collider Live and they talked about it. He's like, if they did another Scream, I'd consider it. And I think right now he just wants, after all this Scoob drama, he just wants some positive light on his name.
He's already got a lot of positive light on his name. He's in Good Girls right now. People love him. Everybody's talking about him. Everybody's obsessed with him on social media.
Oh yeah, because Warner Brothers did him dirty.
So bring him back. I think it's a perfect move for them if they bring back Matthew Lillard.
I still crush.
So you interviewed him for Scream, but not Scooby Doo. I'm disappointed in you.
I was gonna say it's just a face that I just love seeing in movies, so I really hope so.
He's my. I love Good Girls, but he's my favorite part of that show. He's great.
Yeah, they have writers attached to it now. James Vanderbilt, who wrote Zodiac, Guy Busick, who wrote Ready or Not and worked on Castle Rock for Hulu. So we've got a great team of horror minds attached to it.
Okay, you have my attention. Maybe I have to go back and watch the original too.
Is one of Fincher's best films, and it's arguably really creepy.
Yeah.
Or where Gyllenhaal's character is in the basement. I had a brain. Gyllenhaal's character is in the basement, and he's like, "Who wrote this?" And you find out the guy that's in the basement with him is the one who did the typography for the poster. And then you're like, well, are we the only ones here? That whole scene is just so creepy.
Yeah.
I think like anybody attached with Zodiac and Ready or Not, it's a great horror film. So
And it's from the directors of Ready or Not, which we talked about last week. So we've got just a community of true horror fans and filmmakers attached to this. So this is shaping up to be a great project. Which, even without the great Wes Craven on it, it seems like they've assembled a team that's going to do him justice. Hopefully.
Do you think that that's setting the bar really high, and that people will have really high expectations for the film? Then
I do.
Yeah,
definitely.
I have very high expectations. I think it's going to be great, but I'm one of the rare people that love the fourth one. Not many people like the fourth one, but that's probably my favorite out of the Scream franchises.
Really?
Yep.
I have not seen the fourth one. I have not.
Yeah,
I've seen the.
We were doing a rewatch of them a couple months ago. We never made it up to the fourth one. We just did the first three. So
yeah,
I think it's about time we finally booted that up and watched it.
It's extremely meta. It's very self-aware, and I think it was done in like 2011. So it's at the height of like that era, like the social media and all that. It's.
I think that it got brought up earlier, the TV show too.
Yeah, Connor, you liked that show, didn't you? If I recall right.
Yeah, some of it. The third season, I think I liked more than the first two seasons because it was a reboot and brought back the original Ghostface mask.
Okay.
It was more self-contained, and it seemed like Scream rather than like an MTV show that the first two were.
Does that show fit into like the film continuity, or do they like do a new Sydney and Dewey and all that stuff?
Yeah, it's its own thing.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I'm hoping that's what I didn't really like about the show is that it didn't have any of the lore behind, the Scream movies. But the third one's enjoyable enough. The first two are just teen romance. Like it's not very.
Okay.
Caught a few episodes, so that's why I brought it up.
Yeah, but yeah, the fourth one's really good. That's my favorite, and I'm really excited for the fifth one.
Right on. We also got, here she is, our lady, Jamie Lee Curtis has just inked a new exclusive deal with Blumhouse. Again, just like Stephen King, we're going to say Blumhouse 40 times an episode. You can't avoid it. Jamie Lee Curtis has inked a new deal with Blumhouse for her directorial debut. And I believe 2 other projects are attached to that as well. This one is called Mother Nature, a horror film that is somehow influenced by climate change. And this will be her first time in the director's seat.
Sounds interesting.
Yeah.
It's happened a lot that an actor decides to give directing a shot, and it turns out they're great at it because they've been directed their whole life and career.
Right.
So got a couple notes from it.
I'm on board for this.
Yeah. Obviously, she's been getting real cozy with those folks making these new Halloween movies. So she must be having a pretty great time doing that. That she wants to come back.
7-year-old woman, and she's directing for the first time, and I think Blumhouse is one of those studios that would give her that chance. I don't think a lot of other studios would do that. So props to Blumhouse, props to Jamie Lee Curtis. I'm super excited for this.
Yeah, me too. Excited to see what she brings to it. What wisdom she's gained over the years, how she's able to implement it from the other side of the camera. So that's something to look forward to. This one, a little different. So A24 has been doing, I think it ended today, this charity auction where they're selling off props from some of their films, and the proceeds from those auctions are going to the FDNY Foundation, helping families of New York firefighters during the current crisis. And one of those items they auctioned off is the the May Queen dress from Midsommar, this classic. I love how miserable Florence Pugh is.
Oh my gosh.
So unamused with her.
She's so blissful.
They auctioned off the May Queen dress for a bid of $65,000. I believe that's got to probably be the most profitable item in the auction because they did about, last I checked, they were about approximately 100,000 in total that they had raised through this auction. So that was making up a nice hefty chunk. I think it ends today. I might be still ongoing. Last I saw, they were still auctioning off the race car bed from Uncut Gems, which I campaigned in our group chat that we should all go in and buy, and then we can have it.
No, I needed the Howard shirt. I'm sorry, that shirt was more important.
I think a race car bed with functioning neon on the bottom, pretty cool.
Yeah.
Taylor. I needed the shirt. This is
get
how I win. Oh, it was $1,000.
Said that the boys can share.
Yeah, have the boys over, getting the race car bed, eat a couple snacks.
Oh, I would have been down. Hell yeah.
Oh, no.
Watch a horror movie.
Until Taylor and Jessica get their own place, and then Taylor's like, the race car bed is now our bed.
She did want me to get the race car bed. It's got to be said.
A lot of people probably know how I feel about the May Queen going to the Academy.
Yeah, I did. I forgot to say the Academy, as in Academy Awards Academy, were the ones who had the winning bid on the dress.
Yes.
Oh, it's 10 flowers.
Cowards and didn't give a single nomination to this movie.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they had the audacity to put it in their stupid opening dance number.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
But couldn't even nominate that masterful performance by Florence Pugh.
No, they were too busy giving her the nomination in supporting actress.
Anything. They didn't give it a single nomination. Like, I thought it was a shoo-in for at least, like, the costumes.
Oh, yeah.
They don't play with those A24 movies often. Again, Uncut Gems didn't get any love, and the year prior, Hereditary didn't get any love. If anything, again, Tony
nominated for cinematography, and that was it.
Yeah.
Don't forget the matching flower crown was sold as well separately.
Oh, for $15,000.
Yep.
Wow.
The bear headdress was also on sale.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
You could just walk around in your bear.
Connor would have done it too. Next time we saw Connor, he would have just had that bear headdress on and be like,
If you had purchased that, I would expect you to do every episode from now until the end of time.
Midsommar alone raised about $100,000.
Oh, okay. So that was just for Midsommar, not even.
yeah, Uncut Gems didn't raise that much.
I know they sold the chromed out Furby though.
Furby closed at $13,500. The Howard signature polo closed at $3,200. The Weekend's wig closed at $4,250. The race car bed stayed at $2,500.
Oh, okay.
The Celtics championship ring closed at $15,000. Howard's glasses $2,600. KG's jersey $2,000. Knicks championship ring $3,750. And Dinah's dress for $2,000, and the Ratner family portrait for $3,000, and Howard's normal glasses, which you can actually get on Amazon. They are sunglasses, sold for $2,500, and the Ferragamo belt for $1,750, and the KMH sweats and KG. The MJ pendant sold for close to $10,000.
So yeah, in total, I guess it did about $200,000.
Just over.
Yeah, and Midsommar made up at least almost half of that. So
Yeah.
It speaks to the amazing prop work in that film and the production and set design that people wanted things off the set of Midsommar, including the Academy, who apparently didn't feel like watching it so they could nominate it. But they still wanted to get the pretty flower dress to put in their museum. But
Of course, yeah.
$65,000 spends the same, I guess, no matter what your intent is. So at least that's going to a good cause. It will be on display in the Academy Museum whenever that is able to open up. So if you want to go see the May Queen dress, maybe slip the barrier, try it on. I don't know. You do what you want.
You forgot the other A24 film that is a horror film technically that had props in this auction. That's The Lighthouse.
Yeah. They were selling Willem's pipe, I believe.
The light itself sold for $80,000. The mermaid carving sold for $110,000. The uniform cap sold for $4,000. The pipe sold for $4,250. Winslow's cap $25,000, and then it just descends from there. But
were they selling Robert Pattinson's soiled underwear at all?
No.
Because they really pissed himself 10 times on the set of that film.
I bought that. $25. Well spent.
Nothing like the smell of Batman's taint.
Right off of eBay.
The fact that the mermaid carving went for
That taint.
over $100,000.
Yeah, man. It's
A little piece of wood, $100,000.
pretty erotic, though, if you watch the film. It
Oh, I know.
makes you feel some type of way, so
Oh my god.
good to bring that home with you.
Moving on.
Back to some films we can look forward to. We keep talking about IFC Midnight, another great horror movie, independent movie distributor. They are coming out with a film, or they just acquired a film, and they're coming out with it as well, titled Rent-A-Pal. Now, this is coming out in September. It follows a lonely man. This is a great idea, I think. Follows a lonely man, I'm guessing around the 90s, who is using a VHS dating service, right? I guess you like get the tapes and meet the bachelors and bachelorettes, and you mail in your tape and you see who's interested. When he comes across a mysterious tape called Rent-A-Pal with a virtual friend inside the tape who keeps him company, but also make requests that he does increasingly sinister things in order to remain his best friend. Now, for those who don't know, this might sound like a pretty weird thing to come up with, but it's actually based on a real thing that existed. And I've sent Matt something here.
Yes.
About now is the time we want to watch.
I'm sharing the screen right now. I got to set up the audio share and everything, because if I shared it before, it might have just popped up. And
I wanted to prepare this because I thought this would be a fun thing for us to look at together. This is from a VHS tape called Rent-A-Friend.
Okay, so it did pop. That's why I didn't want to. All right, let's go to the 52nd
Are you
mark.
a what?
Right there, it's good.
Oh, a blockhead.
So this is the actual tape uploaded, Rent-A-Friend.
Is that a knockoff Mr. Rogers?
He's your friend. Just wait, he's about to.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Sam, and basically I'm here because I want to be your friend. How's that sound?
Pretty good.
Great. I'm in a really good mood, and I hope you're feeling good too, because this is really neat. I mean,
Yeah.
I've been looking forward to this moment for quite some time. I mean, I'm honest with you here. I'm just so happy that you decided to put me on today, because
Thanks for coming on.
it's just so exciting for me. You know, it's like it's really here. It's happening, and
I
here
know.
we are, and it's just going to be neat. Okay,
I appreciate you joining
so we're
us.
going to have some fun.
No
Play
doubt.
around together, and
So this is
okay. Well, just follow my lead then. All right, just follow me, and just relax. I'm going to try to relax a little bit too here. You should know. I understand that this might be a little different for you.
yeah.
Having me talking to you like this. I mean, it's odd, I guess, and you
Intimidating.
should know that it's strange for me too. Okay, this is not something I do every day. I mean,
Matt, can you skip ahead just
Never done
anywhere in the
it before.
video and see what he's doing?
so
Yeah.
we're exploring together. The key is we're experiencing. Overall, it was all right.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah.
So this is 43 minutes long. Here he's just reading.
This is just.
Incredible.
We're just going outside.
And it is
Okay.
interesting
Now
because I'm
here's
realizing
Dad.
that I could feasibly have a
And,
podcast with him.
He's got his customary antiques practically.
We could just box him in on the
And
side there and
the object of
talk
the
to
game
us.
is to build a
But you could play a game with him.
Play some blocks.
little nose grease there. Build a structure like this, and
So all right, yeah, I think we've seen enough. I think we've seen enough of a friend there. So I'm gonna say goodbye to Sam. But so this is a real thing. During like the 90s, you know, there was like this VHS boom where all these weird products and services thought they had to have a tape. And Rent-A-Friend was, you know, if you think the tape's creepy and uncomfortable, imagine actually soliciting that service and sitting there and
That's just
having
weird.
like a conversation with this guy and playing games and telling him things, and 40 minutes of that. So there you go. Rent-A-Pal. I think there is something inherently creepy about that tape. So Rent-A-Pal is weaponizing that and making an actual horror movie about that. It's coming out in September. to I'm sure a small theatrical release and then going on demand, just based on how creepy the actual thing is. I'm
excited. I think that's going to be amazing.
What in the hell?
I think it's gonna work. I think that was creepy enough. Did you guys ever? How about you? Did you ever own any like weird miscellaneous VHS tapes growing up that like weren't movies?
Yes.
No. Do you realize what house I live in?
I had so many random like, and I still, I have so many distinctive memories of these weird like animated VHS tapes that I have never. I just like remember random things like there's some like yellow talking car or something like that at one point that wasn't obviously Lightning McQueen or anything like that. But I mean these are like 90s, and I kind of want to like search them and remember them and stuff like that. And clearly come up with inspiration for my next horror movie, aka Yellow Talking Car. But no, like used to have so many just random obscure VHS tapes, and there's YouTube channels out there that are like dedicated to finding just the most random stuff that you could ever find. Old kids TV show specials that were only made for like public access and stuff like that somehow made it onto VHS, and
the Star Wars Christmas special.
Sure. Yeah. No, that's where I first had heard of. I've actually heard of Rent a Friend prior to this. So like I knew it existed from one of those channels because Red Letter Media does that. They dig up these weird tapes and watch them like sight unseen, no idea what's gonna. They watched. I don't think that exact one, but they watched one of those tapes, and it was like the most uncomfortably surreal, lonely fucking experience you could ever find. They had. Did I hear you had a strange VHS tape? Did I hear you had to say yes to that question? Because I do as well. I have one I want to mention too. What did you have?
That movie, What a Girl Wants, with Amanda Bynes. It was like my favorite movie when I was like 11, and I let a family member borrow it. And when she had returned it, I went to go watch it, and it was porn.
No!
Oh my gosh!
Wait, so they like recorded porn. Was it a sex tape or was it porn?
It was from their collection of porn that they accidentally switched out.
Oh, okay. So they didn't like write over on the tape. And
No.
give it back to you?
No. They accidentally put the wrong VHS in.
That rules. Do you still have it?
No,
you still have a VCR. We could watch it.
It was like some like I don't know. It was.
Hold up. Nick has pulled up the yellow car. We have to look.
You found the yellow car.
Somehow. Okay, so in the corner over here. In the corner right here. If we can figure out what this is right here, that is that's the company that made these random VHS tapes that I somehow had in my I'm about to oh Jesus, I'm sorry. I'm about to go down like a freaking rabbit hole finding these old VHS tapes now. So thank you.
So I had a sick one growing up, man. I can remember buying it from Kohl's. My mom buying it for me from Kohl's. It was a Tech Deck scooter. So not a Tech Deck, but a scooter you ride with your fingers that came with a VHS instructional tape on how to do tricks. And I wish I would put down money to get that tape back and watch it, because I feel like there has got to be some undiscovered gold in this like cool dudes how to do finger scooter VHS tape.
Oh wow. I still have my tapes from when I was 7. So like my Sailor Moon VHSs, I still have them.
So you're saying you might have that porno tape still?
Oh,
I still have that. I went to with my parents.
There's more layers to this story that you left out before. Okay.
It was really, really bad. It was really, really bad.
Hate when that happens, huh?
Almighty.
I know I feel like a lot of parents in the 90s thought for some reason like Disney VHS would be worth something someday. So I know my mom like saved all of them.
And they're worth something.
We have a bunch of them.
Some of the original Little Mermaid VHS cover, one of in the castle, it is actually shaped like a penis. So they had to redo all of them. So I have the original.
Nice.
Where it So those are actually worth a lot of money because they had to remake those.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, Disney has a sick sense of humor.
Yes.
I'm gonna ask my mom where the bin is so I can see if she's got a penis mermaid cut. Release the
God.
penis cut.
Don't
Mermaid
say it like
cats.
that. Don't say it like that.
Because we can make gangbusters off of it. And then I'm also going to see if by chance the how to VHS scooter tape is in there. Because I think that's probably worth digitizing. You know, probably worth bringing.
You got to show your future kids.
That's right. You got to show them how.
What?
I'm still going down this rabbit hole over here, so I'm very sorry if I'm.
I love
completely
just
absent.
the action, like
Plural?
You got to show all the kids of the world and of America.
One more.
I don't know what I just generalize. Don't.
Matt, shut up.
Okay, so Bumpity Boo was an anime, and I didn't even know this.
Anime?
Apparently, I'm a weeb. I was a weeb as a kid. So,
Bumpity
anyways,
Boo,
yeah, I'm sorry. So keep talking about horror movies.
Senpai Bumpity Boo.
All right,
I'm out here with my Bumpity Boo.
We'll move ahead. We got just a little bit more news to talk before we will finally get into our review portion.
Yes, I want to talk about this movie.
Yeah,
the one I got to look at.
We'll be talking movies very shortly. Another one coming up. We also have recently acquired Psycho Gorman. Man, I'm looking forward to this film. If you can't look at that picture and also look forward to it, I don't know what to tell you.
He's like a superhero.
Psycho Gorman was initially set to debut at South by Southwest this year. Of course, it did not because South by Southwest didn't happen because everything's terrible. But the film was recently picked up.
Aren't they doing a digital thing now?
They had announced that they were going to do a digital version on Amazon, but I don't think anything has come out about that since they said they were going to do it. They haven't said when, what movies will feature. I don't know if
initially it said all the non-major preview screenings were gonna be
so they haven't followed that. I was really excited about that to see some new movies that I wasn't going to be at South by anyway, but
being able to see them now that you weren't going to be there is just cool.
And Psycho Gorman was number one with a bullet. I assure you, that's the one I wanted to catch. So I'm glad somebody still picked it up, even though if it didn't screen at any festivals yet. RLJE picked it up, as well as Shudder, is where you watched the two films we're discussing today. So it's going to get a fall theatrical release. Again, I'm imagining probably a limited release, even for something titled Psycho Gorman. And then early next year, it's going to be on Shudder streaming. But yeah, it's something about kids who happy birthday, kind of be sad. They open up like a portal to another dimension or something, and Psycho Gorman as well as other monsters and killers come through, and it's all got this sort of Power Rangers practical quality with the suits and stuff. But the trailer's out. Go check out the trailer because it looks hilarious. Because Psycho Gorman's teaming up with these kids to go catch the monsters and kill them and bring them back to his dimension or whatever. It looks fantastic.
Okay.
Matt can't wait.
Sounds amazing. I can't wait.
Alex, for real, the trailer is great. In news of not something upcoming, but something that just came out this past week was a short film called Not Alone in Here. This came off of David F. Sandberg's YouTube channel, who you may know as the director of Annabelle Creation and Shazam, and started in YouTube horror shorts with his.
Is that what we watched?
Yep, Not Alone in Here is what we watched, and you screamed very loudly and jumped out of your seat. But he got his start in YouTube horror shorts with Lights Out a couple years ago. Then that got picked up into a feature, and now he's a feature filmmaker making Shazam. But during quarantine, he's come back to the YouTube shorts. He's stuck in his house with his wife, so he's just been making these scary shorts with his wife to keep himself occupied. And then in addition to that, putting out really cool behind the scenes videos that I'd say are almost better than the shorts themselves because they're half hour long. You just get to see, how a legitimate filmmaker works right now. And I think the transparency is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys get a chance to watch the short at all?
Yep.
What'd you think of it?
I really liked it. I love David F. Sandberg.
Yeah.
I loved Lights Out. I remember seeing the short and being scared, and I was super stoked when the feature came out. And I liked the second Annabelle. It's one of those rare sequels, kind of like Ouija Resident Evil, where the
Yeah.
second one is when they make a sequel to a notoriously pretty bad movie. The first Annabelle is pretty awful.
Yeah.
The second one is light years better. It's really scary. So I really like this. I like his camera movements are fascinating. I love what he does.
Yeah.
There's a lot to kind of break tension with how he can.
Yeah, it's a 6-minute short, simple, but again to that point, he's enough of he knows what he's doing to make 6 minutes effective. And
Ugh.
the camera pans, the zooms, which I guess were mostly digital zooms, which I didn't even realize until I watched his making of. So seeing some of his own tricks of making a film just with what he happens to have in his house, even to how he made the scary demon lady who jumps out at the end, just seeing how simple it was for him to make that look so good was pretty cool. I feel like that's a touch of a really current filmmaker, that he's got that connection with the internet and his fans and that transparency. He's really, really aware, of where he came from, and is still encouraging people to pursue that, make shorts, put them online, maybe get picked up, and you can be directing Shazam, or these tentpole movies, which I thought Shazam was great, and it wasn't even a horror movie. I thought it was probably the best as of right now. I would say DC Universe movie. It might be Shazam. I liked it that much.
Oh.
Yeah, I would say so.
I put it up there, but I still got Aquaman and Wonder Woman above it. But it's it's a very close race between those three.
Man, I thought Aquaman was
Aquaman. Did you say Aquaman?
Yeah, Aquaman rules.
Aquaman was awesome. My man.
Aquaman rules. Wonder Woman's probably the best one, but if I was going to sit down and watch any of them right now, I'd prefer probably Shazam.
See, if I'm sitting down and watching them, it's Shazam or Aquaman because they're so fun. That's
Right.
part of it.
Yeah, I thought Aquaman was meh.
I liked it. It was stupid, but
it was dumb fun.
Aquaman is a pretty silly character, so I thought it was contentious.
It's literally just an underwater version of King Arthur. I'm gonna say it. That's all it is. And I'm sorry, I'm a King Arthur guy. I love Legend of the Sword. I love the Clive Owen movie, as bad as it is, but yeah.
I liked that one though. One with Clive Owen.
I like them. They're not good. I like almost every King Arthur movie. I can admit they're not good.
I like Aquaman, and it is good.
Yes, that one is the good one.
And I like Shazam a lot. So anyway, yeah, the short, David F. Sandberg, his YouTube channel's name is Pony Smasher. So if you want to check out some cool horror shorts, some really cool, some really cool, insightful behind the scenes videos on horror shorts, go check out and subscribe to Pony Smasher. You don't get to say that often enough. And then finally, real quick before we get into our reviews, we just got 2 trailers that came out in the last 24 hours to talk about. One is for a film called Relic. This is another IFC midnight joint. This one I hadn't even heard of till the trailer came out today. It's about a daughter, mother, and grandmother that are haunted by a manifestation of dementia that consumes their family's home. It's a directorial debut for a woman named Natalie Erica James, who has done shorts up until now, and produced by Jake Gyllenhaal, which I didn't realize until I looked it up. I thought they'd be pimping that in the trailer, but I looked there he was on the IMDb. So Jakey thought it was good enough to throw his name out. Did you guys get a chance to watch the trailer for this at all?
No. Like I said, I was barely able to watch Daniel Isn't Real, so that was just time constraints due to work and housework. So anything
is really creepy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The music and the sound that they used, I love it. The strings and freaking. No, it's really creepy. I love it. I'm looking forward to it. I love those haunted house type movies.
Yeah. And it's funny because now it seems like horror movies are actively trying to it seems like we talk about it every week, this elevated horror thing, but it seems like now the marketing for movies are actually trying to appeal to that, whereas I thought with some of something like Hereditary, or I remember It Comes at Night was a big one, it felt like the marketing kind of betrayed what the movie was like. But now this one's invoking Hereditary and Babadook, which are movies that I think a casual horror fan probably doesn't like very much, but it's cool to see that trend or that subgenre, whatever you want to say, is now successful enough that a movie will actually market towards that crowd and say, hey, this is another one, come and see it. Grabbed my attention. I thought it looked pretty damn creepy. And then finally we got the second trailer for a film called Antebellum. Now this, I think, had things not gone horribly awry, this would have already released, but as you can see, is
I thought it was a June release.
Okay, so either way, it definitely got pushed back to August. As you can see there, August 21st is the new release date. We got a second trailer for that, just a quick one, probably to remind people about the movie, because it's just everything's been mixed up so badly with the calendar and marketing. So everybody's got to kind of restart and re-pitch their movies to audiences right now, I feel. We got a second trailer for that, which I appreciate because I couldn't really figure out what the hell this movie was about. And it's still kind of mysterious, so I like that. The factor of not knowing what's going to happen, I think, is a great way to make something scary. Seems like she's an author and somehow inexplicably gets sent back in time, and it's the main character is played by
Janelle Monáe.
Woman of color getting transported back to, at the very least, slavery era.
Yep, it's slavery era.
In the Civil War, so, somewhere around there, and having to figure out a way to escape that time period and get back to the current day. It's something like that. It's not super clear, which I think is good. I think it's good that I don't have a complete handle on what it's about. This is also a directorial debut for, let's see, Gerard Bush is his name. I think he's also come up through shorts. This will be his first feature. The trailers keep hammering home that it's from a producer of Us and Get Out. And I think they want you to think that they mean Jordan Peele. Is not Jordan Peele. They're playing some classic movie marketing gotcha tricks. It's actually a guy by the name of Sean McKittrick. But hey, not for nothing, he got his name's on those movies. Those are great movies. But it has nothing to do with Jordan Peele as far as I could see. But it's got maybe one of his friends attached to it. So it looks good. And if things go to plan, this will be, I think, the first wide release horror movie to come out since everything shut down. So could potentially be the first truly theatrically released movie that we get to cover on this show. So excited about that. Hopefully it gets to come out on time. If it does come out on time, I guess New Mutants will come out on time too, which is something I'd also like to talk about on this show. So we might have a little double feature coming up at the end of August as well. Reviews. That's right, man. Maybe critic screenings will exist by then. We'll see.
Yeah.
But talking on double features, it's finally time for us to jump in ours and get into the review portion of our show. We have got two films to talk about tonight, both of which are streaming on Shudder. One is called Daniel Isn't Real, and one is called Blood Machines, which came out today. So just debuted on the service. We just managed to watch it before starting tonight. I think everybody here watched Daniel Isn't Real. Is that correct? Yeah. And then who here got to watch Blood Machines?
I watched one part because that's all Shudder is allowing me to watch.
Man.
Yeah. I was wondering if that was going to be the case because that was all I could do too. And wow.
Really?
Yep. All it would give me is the first 16 minutes, the first part.
Wow, that's strange. So we watched it just on the Shudder app on the Fire Stick, and yeah, it ran through all three parts, no problem.
I tried it on my Fire Stick and I tried it on my Roku TV. Only gave me the first 15 minutes.
Weird. I wonder why we got through. That's a shame. I wonder if there's.
You didn't miss much.
Yeah, I wonder if there's a lot of people trying to. I almost wonder if we should save it now.
Save it because I'd like a chance to actually get to watch this.
All right, we'll save it then.
Oh man,
We'll
it's kind of because I've been promoting Blood Machines. Well, in a nutshell, I'll say I did enjoy it. There's not a ton to discuss as far as plot or content. Mostly just kind of an acid trip.
I mean,
but I dug it. It's probably not something now I'm going to start getting into the review portion.
We can't really talk about it if they haven't seen it all.
All right, well, folks, if you saw Blood Machine, sorry, I guess we won't talk about it today due to some technical difficulties on Shudder's end. I don't know what that is. I wonder if there was some issue with like too many people trying to watch it at once or something, and they didn't anticipate it.
Yeah, that was the problem.
I don't know.
I'm not the only one that had that problem. Nick had that problem too.
Yeah.
When did you guys try watching it?
I tried watching it at like 3 a.m. last night and again on today.
Yeah, I was at around like maybe 6 o'clock or something like that.
Huh, weird.
That's
Okay.
weird.
All right. Well, I guess we'll postpone the Blood Machines discussion, unfortunately. But if you're watching this and you
Good thing
wanted,
we did a double feature.
yeah, if you wanted to check that out and watch it before we talk about it, I guess you got a whole nother week to do it. We'll come back next Thursday and do some Blood Machines talk. All right. I guess that's the struggle in trying to review something that came out like
The day of.
10 hours before your show starts. But fair enough. Well, I guess we'll have a shorter show than planned. We will not have a double feature. But luckily, we all watched the film.
Daniel isn't real.
Start to finish, no technical difficulties involved, and we are all here to talk about it. So, Daniel Isn't Real is the name of the film. I guess I'll just go around the room here and get base thoughts before we perhaps jump into spoilers. Nick, I sounds like you were excited to talk about it. What did you think of Daniel Isn't Real?
That was an excellent film. That's my style of horror, where it's kind of that just like really psychological thriller type stuff, basically just beating a person to death mentally in a way. But no, I love the cast. I was talking to Matt beforehand. I felt like I had seen the main character in a lot of stuff before, but I hadn't, if that makes any sense. He just kind of had a familiar face. Obviously I knew Patrick Schwarzenegger, but like the guy who played Luke, is that his name? I think, right?
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen him in things, but like I said, I think it was just a familiar face situation, but he was excellent in it. I love the plot, and yeah, no, definitely love the film.
I mean, I'll jump in and say Miles Robbins has definitely grown as an actor since that character from Halloween, who I just found annoying and just couldn't wait for him to die. Where this, you actually get to see him as an actor and not just this drugged out, sex crazed teen that I was just wanted nothing to do with. But no, Nick hit it on the head. This is the kind of horror film I like. So I was like, all right, I dig it. The whole concept, I loved. It was really cool to just have that concept of a parasite. It's like, what? I was like, yes. You
like the imaginary friend of it.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So, excellent film. Really excellent film.
Cool. Connor, you were the one who submitted this for something to review in the first place, so I presume you liked it, but...
I love this movie. It's super creepy. I love the score. I love the cinematography. The action was great. I love the main character. He was in the recent Halloween movie. He's in Blockers. He's in quite a bit.
Yeah.
I forgot he was in Blockers.
Yeah, he's hilarious, and it was cool seeing him in something like this. Where it's more
he's the son of Tim Robbins and Susan Sarandon.
So I loved it. It was fantastic.
Got a lot of second generation Hollywood in this film.
Yeah.
Them and Patrick. Before I finally come to me, I'll give it to somebody who might have a dissenting opinion that she's afraid to share now. But Jessica, what you think of Daniel Isn't Real?
It's okay.
It's okay. Or
no, Luke. He reminded me of the Sprouse twins.
Yes, Nick and I were talking about that.
Yeah. Because for a moment I thought it was either one of the Sprouse twins, but obviously it wasn't. I didn't like it. I'm just gonna say it. I didn't. I thought I loved the acting. I thought the actors did a wonderful job. There were parts of the movie that I really, really liked. There was just something early on in the movie that offended me personally. So I just didn't like it.
Do you want to elaborate at all on what you found maybe particularly offensive or like maybe not done tastefully?
It was more of so the portraying the mental illness maybe in a demonizing way. I think it could have been portrayed in more of a tasteful way or in a different way. Obviously we found out later on, sorry Paige, sorry. That's just my personal opinion, just because myself, I have a lot of family members that suffer with mental illness. So for myself, it was just something personal for me that offended me right off the bat, especially since I do have kids, and the whole, friend, the invisible friend and stuff like that. It seemed as though like make an excuse for trying to do evil, terrible things. There were just certain things about it that I thought could have been done differently in a more tasteful way for the movie, that just right off the bat just didn't sit well with me personally.
And there's nothing wrong with the dissenting opinion. I don't have any agenda of the show where it's like, if we review a movie, it's because it's great and we love it, and that's the only context we're going to talk about anything in. Now, the odds are probably in favor of us liking it because the movie looks interesting enough for us to pick it out to talk about it. But I don't think anyone's beholden to liking the movies we talk about. So,
I mean, look at it. We all ragged on Scoob last week.
Right.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, on the Sunday show we reviewed Scoob, and nobody seemed to have been a fan of Scoob.
Yeah.
But
there were parts that I really did enjoy. I thought the acting was wonderful. I loved the production of it. I thought it was very, very well done in that way. It's just early on, I personally was offended by it. I thought there were a lot of holes in the movie that didn't really make sense to me. So I had a lot of questions by the end of the movie.
And piggybacking off of that, I do have some criticisms of the movie that I'll say when we get into the spoilers of it, because they're pretty plot specific. But in spite of the criticisms I have, I did still very much enjoy the movie. Same as what Matt said, I thought this was a really cool idea for a horror movie.
Mm-hmm.
The idea of it, and it's not even as if it hasn't been done before. I feel like we see like the kind of imaginary trope thing come up in some like paranormal movies, like "Mommy, I got an imaginary friend." Oh, it turns out to be a ghost or Slender Man or some shit, right? We've seen that play with before, and even outside of horror, I think the most obvious comparison as far as movies go, you would draw with this is like Fight Club. Like this was what if Fight Club was a horror movie, all the way down to his imaginary friend showing up and having all the answers to life's issues, being super cool and savvy and dressing up like a cool guy, and then the relationship getting darker and more threatening and more parasitic. But to take that and make it a horror movie, I thought was a really cool, effective idea. I loved the way this story was presented cinematically. So many cool visual things.
Yes.
Original ideas, a lot of practical effects. Looks great. Liked the soundtrack a lot. The acting, again, to issue that again, I thought was great. The dynamic between Patrick Schwarzenegger and Miles Robbins, I thought was terrific, especially towards the end when you get that kind of face-off thing where now Miles Robbins is playing Patrick Schwarzenegger, as they switch, that was really cool. I guess that was kind of a light spoiler. Sorry, we haven't officially gotten to it yet, but
let's just get into it.
For the spoilers, that's my favorite part of the movie is that final act where they become one. He handled it so well, and it was so like, I don't know, I loved it when he was trying on the suits and like becoming.
That part reminded me kind of like Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man 3.
Yeah, absolutely.
Hey!
In a good way.
Cigarette and just dancing. I was like, this is insane.
Oh,
Hi.
What's up, Paige?
I'm ready. Let's go.
You've joined.
She's ready to go in on this movie.
Before we dive head first into spoiler chat, I'll then give you an opportunity. I mean, I think I got an idea whether you liked it or not, but what do you think of Daniel Isn't Real?
Actually, I wanted to go off Jessica's talk about how she kind of found a little bit of the portrayal of mental illness offensive. I'll agree. I think that it's really hard to watch some of those things if you deal with it head on. But I think the idea of it was, and I had like these theories, I think they wanted to do that to show that, like, a lot of movies will look at obviously the bad of mental illness and they'll look at that. I think they wanted to look at the revival aspect of it, so they showed like I'm not going to get in the ending yet, but I think they wanted to show inner demons, so they had that whole thing with him getting what his mother has, and that it's a big it's a really high percentage with families, it's passed down. And I think you're right, they could have done it a little better, but I really enjoyed the end of the movie because of that revival aspect of it. Kind of like a reborn sort of thing, I guess.
I get what you're saying. I totally get that. I guess I didn't enjoy the ending because I didn't feel like I got that gratification as like hero one. You know, I felt as though he's just going to go back and do it to somebody else. That's kind of what it felt like. It's like nothing happened to him. He's perfectly fine. But obviously I don't want to ruin the ending, just, you know, what happens to the main character, but we all know what happens. So I didn't feel that gratification of what they portrayed for mental illness and the reborn and the revival of it. It didn't give me that the goodness came and won. It felt like, oh, it's going to happen again. So that's why it offended me in the beginning, and then it didn't give me the ending that I needed, I guess.
But that's kind of what horror movies are, in a sense like that. I mean, not giving, in the sense of not giving you the ending that you want, because there are plenty of horror movies that happens with. It's they're not supposed to be the movies with the happy endings. They're supposed to be the movies that end however the hell they want to, realistically. And
that's very true. That's very true.
It is true. And a cynical ending or a non-cathartic ending or an ending where the hero doesn't win, definitely something that happens in horror, and definitely something a lot of times I like. On a film-to-film basis. And this, and now that we are getting to spoilers, I said I had some criticisms of it. For me, it kind of stems from the ending. I thought this is such a cool idea of taking mental illness and personifying it and making it the antagonist of a horror movie. You know, they invoke schizophrenia, but you could also do it with bipolar disorder or dissociative identity disorder. I thought that was a really interesting idea to make mental illness a physical antagonist in a movie you could see. And if that was, I don't know if ultimately that's what their intention was, or if there's just that's just kind of coincidental, but it seems like they're conscious of it. And then at the end, I mean, I'll go ahead and say it, we're doing spoilers. At the end, the way he defeats Daniel is by essentially killing himself to stop Daniel's plan, whichever it might be. And as we were talking about it, the thing was I didn't feel as if, Daniel wouldn't be capable of just doing it again, because we see the last person that had Daniel in his head did die, and then Daniel just goes, boom, on to the next one. Mm-hmm. And so if the idea was this is a horror movie about fighting mental illness and ending it with your protagonist solving it by killing himself, I felt like
damaging. Yeah.
I felt like it was a really irresponsible and weird message to send at the end.
I didn't get that when I watched the movie, but now that it's being like said out loud, I'm like, oh, that is kind of fucked up.
Yeah.
See, that's what I took from it, and that's why that's where I was coming from with it.
I mean, but you can argue that ending is basically that suicide isn't ultimately the way to defeat mental illness at the same time.
But the thing is, I might be the only one who didn't view it as mental illness. I just thought of it. I mean, obviously the mother had mental illness, and he thought he was going to have a mental illness, but I thought it was just a parasite type thing.
Yeah.
It was just a parasite. I didn't view it as a mental illness. He as a kid, he saw, the previous person. He saw the aftermath of that, and the parasite latched onto him because he was young and susceptible. And so he brought it home with him. He locked that parasite away, and ended up opening it back up. and it was so lit. But I mean, talking about it, I guess it could be viewed as mental illness. But when I was watching the movie, I didn't view it as.
Yeah, and that's what's so great about each person's perspective is that you can interpret any film in any which way that you see it. And Taylor and I were talking about it. We viewed it in that way, but we also interpreted it in a way that he was a demonic being and he fed off of people with mental illness. So he himself didn't represent mental illness, but he came from, he was a demon and he just fed on others that had mental illness. And as it progressed and got worse, he made it worse for them. So, I mean, there's different ideas and different ways that you can see it. And I think that's what's so great about it. But that's just one of the ways that I saw it.
I thought it was interesting. Going back to talking about the parasite aspect of it, especially with spirituality and demons and ghosts and such. I thought it was clever that they didn't exactly make it super realistic with that, because the only person that could see it was him. And they usually will cling on to vulnerable things, and obviously children, and especially the park scene and stuff like that. So it was kind of clever how they manipulated that idea of it, I guess.
Yes. And my favorite scene out of the movie was when the therapist had did his hypnosis, that scene, and Daniel ripped open Luke and physically went inside of him. I thought that was the coolest thing out of the whole entire movie. I thought it was just the imagery of it and the symbolism of it was just amazing. I thought it was just, and the fact that he could see him doing it.
Yeah, I thought that was, we talk about jump scares on this show and how they sparingly used, they're effective. I thought that was a great scene of the therapist saying, "Talk to me, Daniel, talk to me, Daniel." He just pops into frame about what?
Yeah.
Like the shock of somebody else being able to see him. It was so, I thought that was a great, this movie is full of great scenes. I had criticism, but full of great scenes. I love the horror movie stuff when Luke gets trapped in like the other castle realm and he's running around and it's all neon lit and it's getting chased by the last dude. And I thought all that stuff was great. The stuff in the tunnels underground when Daniel gets in his body for the first time and he's got weird goop shit running off his face was awesome.
Yeah, I do got to say, the thing I did not expect to see was Arnold Schwarzenegger's son's ass.
Yep. His dad showed it. He probably told him it's the only way. You gotta show those cheeks.
Show those butt. Yeah, but
I don't. Happy birthday, Connor.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't in any way discredit how good this film is. I mean, acting, production, and everything. It's just personally, with what I've seen, my mother who suffers through with schizophrenia and such, I found it offensive for myself. That's the only thing, and that's why I didn't like it. But other than that, I thought it was a pretty good film. It's just not for me. That's all.
And psychology clearly is a through line of the film. You know, we have his mom early on in the movie has some sort of psychotic break. We see that, and that's clearly somebody's actually suffering with something that's not a cosmic being in their mind. And then he talks to the girl, and she's studying psychology at the party, and then he's going to it seems like they're aware, obviously Daniel isn't meant to be literally treated as a avatar mental illness. He is in fact some sort of alien or interdimensional monster who like heightens your fears and traumas and neuroses. That's what he is. And even so, tying into how I didn't like the ending so much, I think they needed to establish some more rules for how Daniel works.
Yeah.
What he wants and how he gets it and what can stop him and what empowers him. And that way, at the end, I would have a greater sense of whether he was defeated or not, because
Mhm.
it doesn't seem like his host dying is what would stop him.
Yeah.
At best, it seems like maybe it shot him back out into his space realm.
Mm.
And if can he come back? I don't know. But that was probably what kept tripping me up, because otherwise loved it. But what kept taking me out was, okay, is this effective? Is this going to work? Did Daniel lose?
Yeah, because Luke forced him into the house, and then when he tried to put him back in the house, he wouldn't go. So did he?
I think that was just because Daniel was more vulnerable at that point.
And that's kind of what they said. He was telling him, get in, get in, get in. He said, you can't put me in there. You're too crazy. So I was like, what does that mean, though? You know?
Yeah, and then when he pushed him out of his body and he tried to go back in, he physically was harmed. I was trying to figure out the boundaries of where Daniel could do and what he could not do, and then where Luke could take over, but where Luke could not take over.
Mm-hmm. I would. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
No. Go ahead, Nick. No. Go ahead.
To me, it was like, did he need somebody weak to prey off of? Was my big thing. Like when the original beginning opening scene happens, Luke is there, doesn't have a lot of friends, and is kind of preying off of a situation that he was just in his house. Now, I'm forgetting the name of the girl who shows up throughout the entire thing.
Cassie.
Yeah. Character.
Was Cassie too? I guess she was knowing of the situation, but was she too strong to even be able to have Daniel?
Yeah, not
go to her. And then clearly there's nobody else around in the situation. So did he need somebody to latch onto who was, I guess, I hate to use the term weak in that situation, but in kind of a situation where he mentally could manipulate somebody as this demon character.
Mm-hmm. I see what you're saying.
Cassie wasn't necessarily that person that he could latch onto. Clearly she knows too much already anyways, so
yeah, the jig was kind of up
because he's wearing the same outfit.
I love that the way she figured out, because I feel like it kind of reveals a little more about Daniel, that this dude thinks he's so cool. Like the first thing he does when he gets Luke's body, he's like, I'm gonna go buy a red suit and a button-up shirt. And that fucker did it last time. He was in the drawer. It was like, this dude's super corny and he doesn't even realize it. He's out here dressing up like the Joker and shit, you know, like, and it felt very Tyler Durden, but like making fun of itself. I thought that was a really funny way. And then when she like wasn't that cool, she was like kicking the shit out of him, which I also thought was kind of funny.
Yeah. I was like, wow, she's really strong.
He was beating his ass, which is cool. It was good to see. How did you guys think about, I said I didn't really like that he died at the end. How did you guys feel about sword fight on the roof?
It's cool.
It was a harken back to the beginning when they're sword fighting with kids. So
Mm-hmm.
I like it.
Yeah, I think on its own it looks super silly, but in the context of everything, I thought it was a really cool, creative way to display the way those two are going to battle. Obviously, I don't even know at that point if it's just Luke up on the roof and they're fighting in his head, or if they are somehow both physically manifesting and having a sword fight at this point. But I thought it was cool picking up the brooms that turn into swords, and again, Luke kind of beats the shit out of him with the sword, which I thought was an interesting twist. That once Daniel was behind the wheel, he actually wasn't that good at it. I kind of like that he got his ass beat. Anything else anybody wants to point out or include?
no.
Does anyone have a favorite scene?
I think Cassie was probably how they made her. She was supposed to be like maybe a mirror of, in a way, Daniel. And like all these people you see throughout the whole film, they're really putting what's the name? Luke?
Yeah.
They're really like jabbing at him the whole time, and you see that in like the dad scene, and then you get introduced to Cassie, and then the other girl that he meets, and I think he kind of starts to enjoy hurting himself. So you see these things that he does to himself where he messes with the girl's feelings, and then you see him with at the scene with the like underground or wherever they're at, and he's with all those guys, and then that's when it takes over him, whatever. But you see, like before that, like right before that, it seems like he is himself, and he is this really, really shallow, weak, honestly, a pretty big piece of shit. Like you see that he enjoys not only because he's hurting himself, he wants to bring everybody else down. And I think that Cassie was meant to be that other person that's going to see if he can, I guess, get lower than he is and stoop to that level and whatnot. And she was fighting with Daniel because those two people and the two people in his life are what's shaping him in this part, I guess. But I thought it was interesting when they had the fight scene, like Taylor is saying, she was definitely like, there was a part where she was kicking his ass, but she was doing it so effortlessly that I think she found it funny. And I think it was meant to be that way. I don't know if it was, but it kind of seemed like a little bit of a comic relief in that part. His thoughts on that scene, but I really, really enjoyed it.
I definitely found it like cathartic and got kind of a laugh out of it just to see Daniel get, like I said before, get his ass handed to him, because it kind of has this big, it's horror movie third act moment. The killers come to get you, and she just bashes him with a paint bucket and throws him down the stairs and gets out there real fast. It was like, dude, you're out of your element. Not as scary as you thought. The only thing I just wish is perhaps a different ending. I'm not someone who always needs a happy ending, but if your movie
with the ending, I wanted to see Luke kind of prevail, but
yeah, and if that death was a way to stop Daniel, I wish that was better communicated, because it seems like Daniel's goal ultimately is for the host to die, because I don't think he planned on probably getting past that day. He killed the therapist. He was going to kill her. He's probably going to do something else terrible and then get Luke's body killed in the process and then move on to the next one. So that they both fell off the roof and then hit the bottom and died, it just didn't feel like a logical ending for me. And I can take an unhappy ending, but it seemed like I was supposed to think this was a happy ending, which is why it was weird for me. It seemed that it was like, oh, the monster's defeated. And I was like, well, is he? Because it seems like this is what he wanted also. Mm-hmm. And because he says, if I go, you go. And Daniel says, you don't have the courage to do that, something to that effect. And again, I just thought that was a borderline irresponsible thing to say. It's like, you don't have the courage to kill yourself and stop me. That's just where I got tripped up. And I think that would have been easier to get around if there was some more rules on how Daniel as an entity functioned and what you can do to stop him. In spite of that, though, I still did like the movie. I thought it was a wildly entertaining and creative concept for a horror movie. I still dug it a lot.
Should we go around and say, watch it, don't watch it?
No, watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it.
Watch it.
How'd you?
Oh, yeah, watch it.
Oh, you do say watch it?
Yeah, why
I'm
not?
surprised. I thought you were going to go, don't watch it.
Right.
Well, I guess at least watch it, form your own opinion.
Watch it. If you're
I'm never gonna tell somebody not to watch something.
There you go.
Yeah, I think it's a big thing.
I feel like everybody should form their own opinion about something. It's only fair. You don't ever tell somebody not to do something.
Instead of a watch it, don't watch it.
Right.
If it was like a waste of your, if it was Transformers or Bumblebee, then I'd be like, yeah, don't watch it.
Whoa! Pause. Do not besmirch Bumblebee like that.
Bumblebee's good. Okay, Bumblebee's good.
Okay, so let's go around. Out of 5 butcher knives, what do we get this?
5 butcher knives.
4.
Stars.
4.
4 butcher knives from Matt.
at first, when the movie ended, I was inclined to probably give it 4 butcher knives. But then as I thought about it and developed my criticisms of it, I'd probably go 3.5 butcher stars, which in my book is still not butcher stars. Butcher knives and ninja stars. 3.5 butcher stars.
Yeah,
Taylor, I'm going to give 3.5 butcher knives.
Yeah, I would say 3.5 is fair assessment for room of improvement.
How many knives you got, Paige?
You know what? I agree with you on the ending. It seemed a little dry. I guess that's the word I would give it for the ending. But the thing that saved it for me, and I'm going to give it a 4, is because of the cinematography.
Mm-hmm.
It is a great looking movie.
It is. And the acting.
All right, Nick, how about you?
Oh, I'm hitting it with 4 butcher stars.
Butcher stars coming at you. Dodging.
Just giant butcher knives in the shape.
I'm giving it 4 meat cleavers. That's what I'm giving it.
Yay!
I'm giving it 10 sword frisbees. All right.
I'm giving it 4 broomstick swords. There you go.
There you go. So yeah, the film is Daniel Isn't Real. Overall, it looks like we would recommend it. If you didn't watch it already, go check it out on Shudder. And if you didn't watch Blood Machines, if you weren't able to, I guess we'll talk about it a little bit more next week. So you have a whole week to check out Blood Machines. There is a film we've already decided we are going to discuss next week. So potential for another double feature. But I mentioned it earlier, and I'll mention it again. Next week, we are going to watch and discuss The Wretched. Seems only appropriate with it being #1 at the box office.
Where are we able to watch this one?
That one, I believe, just going to be on demand. I don't think it's just streaming actively anywhere, but you can rent it on demand for a couple bucks somewhere, wherever you would rent movies typically. But yeah, with the success of that movie, I think it's only right that we talk about it. Maybe a local comeback since he was singing its praises on the first episode. Yeah, go check out The Wretched. Come back and talk about that in Blood Machines with us. If you missed the announcement earlier, not that you need to have it by next week, but we are doing our book club. Stephen King, Let It Bleed collection of short stories. We'll be reading that through June. So if you want to read something spooky, find your copy of that. Come back and we'll talk about it in a couple weeks. And then we're going to be having, in honor of the birthday boy here, some type of game that I'll let Matt talk on that.
Right now, all I could get was Quiplash because money. I have that already, so we're going to play a few rounds of Quiplash and then try to find some other things we can do online. Maybe test the birthday boy, some movie trivia, because I know how much he loves that.
Right on. What time's that kicking off on this channel?
We're gonna. Right now, it's tentatively set for 11 now because I know you said you have your drive home, and we don't want to do it without you. So.
Okay. All right. Anything else you want to plug about the channel? Anything coming up you want to talk about?
We got the Snyder Cut talk coming on Sunday. I'm trying to work some things out in the private chat right now with Connor and Nick. We might be streaming something that isn't game night right after this, but a live reaction. So we'll see based off of what they say. But yeah, check out if you like wrestling or anything like that, and you want to catch something new during quarantine, check out the Schmodown, and then go ahead and check out mine and Chris's show on the Schmodown, which he had go live yesterday for episode 3. And yeah, because there's no Saber Reels this week, no Final Buzzer this week. Oh, and everyone just have a safe Memorial Day. So,
yep.
Go watch The Wretched. Come back next Thursday to this channel, 8 p.m. Happy birthday to Connor Breedlove.
Happy birthday.
hey to ya.
Stay spooky, my friends. We'll see you for game night.
Later.